Warrior Lore. Chapter 2901. A Dao-carrying expert has appeared in the Qian Su Jinghua heaven. He seriously injured the blood ancestor and forced him to retreat. This news, like a hurricane, quickly swept through every corner of the 33 heavens. After the countless living beings heard this, they all felt boundless shock. Dao-carrying expert, that was a figure that only existed in legends. Of the 9 great levels of practice passed down from the ancient times, the last 2 only existed in legends. But after the demon race reappeared in the world, everyone knew that all this was not just a legend. It's just that, at that time, most of the supreme experts had fallen. Even if there were a few left in the world, no one knew their specific location. For all creatures, only the devil ancestor and the blood ancestor, who broke out of the seal of the Yin Xiong Wuzhou Heaven's burial space mountain, were such existences. However, these 2 were seriously injured due to the ancient war. Their strength was greatly damaged, and they still haven't recovered. It will take a very long time for them to truly reach their peak. So, the appearance of a Dao carrier realm expert at his prime was no different from a huge commotion, and it was practically on the verge of overturning the entire 33 heavens. After that Dao-carrying expert appeared, he forced the blood ancestor to retreat with his supreme bearing. He even killed countless beasts with his gaze, causing countless deaths in the Qian Su Jinghua heaven. After that supreme expert made his move, the army of the 33 heavens didn't even need to kill. They only needed to leave some people behind to clean up the battlefield. I didn't expect the Qian Su Jinghua heaven to be eliminated under such circumstances. Qian Su Jinghua heaven is nothing. This time, a large number of immortal experts will directly kill their way into the 18 levels of hell and fight the demon race head-on. The 18 levels of hell are different from the Qian Su Jinghua heaven. The demon race is much stronger than those countless beasts. I hope that this time, after the army of supreme experts enters, they will be able to reap results. Naturally, if they can directly nip the demon race's plan in the bud, that would be the most perfect thing. Let's not think too simply. After entering the 18 levels of hell, there will definitely be a terrifying battle. I'm afraid many people will fall in there. I only hope that the experts of the 33 heavens will be able to achieve victory in the end and return in triumph. Such discussions resounded in every corner of the 33 heavens. Countless lives were fervently discussing this. Lu Xiaoyou's name resounded throughout all the worlds. The existence of the 3,000 great worlds was also known to all living beings. To the various worlds, it was no longer a secret. In addition, the young Yuqing divine emperor from the Yuqing divine nation of the supreme Chong Rong heaven also moved countless people. Whether it was attacking the Qian Su Jinghua heaven or slaughtering their way into the 18 levels of hell, it was all his idea. He could really be said to be an extremely daring master. Moreover, the other worlds were even more shocked because the Yuqing divine emperor, Du Xiaofu, was actually at the legendary Void Dao realm at such a young age. He'd only cultivated for a little over 1,000 years, yet his strength was almost on par with an ordinary meditative realm expert. It was probably only a matter of time before he stepped into the enlightenment realm. Du Xiaofu's other identity was also discussed enthusiastically by many living beings. The relationship between Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu was that of a brother. All of the living beings in the 33 heavens began to move, preparing to enter the 18 layers of hell. The appearance of the enlightenment realm expert, Lu Xiaoyu, was like a cardiac stimulant to the entire world, causing countless people to feel excited. When the news of the demon race's comeback spread throughout the various worlds, everyone fell into boundless fear. No one had the confidence to defeat the demon race. However, from this day onwards, boundless hope was ignited in them. The existence of an enlightenment realm expert was the solid backing of all living beings. It gave them enough confidence to truly fight the demon race. However, while everyone was excited, they also knew very clearly that the demon race was not easy to deal with. The existence of an enlightenment realm expert was only a leader for all living beings. If they truly wanted to obtain the final victory, they would still have to pay an unimaginable price. Only through endless slaughter could they hope to achieve it. In the Fiend God battlefield, The boundless smell of blood filled the air. The earth was dark red and dry, and there were traces of ancient battles everywhere. The air was filled with a terrifying, bloodthirsty aura. If an ordinary person under the seizing god level were to enter this place, they would most likely be killed in an instant. In the depths of the fiend god battlefield, in front of the gate of hell, Du Xiaofu stood in the air. His purple robe fluttered in the wind, revealing a domineering and absolute aura. Beside him, a large number of experts gathered. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, Long Ke, Long Su, Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, Long San, and a large number of experts from the 3,000 sectors were all present. In addition to the people from the 3,000 great worlds, more than 10 cultivators in the meditative realm had left the sacred grounds of the supreme Changrong heaven. In addition, there were more than a few 100,000 immortal realm cultivators from various factions gathered here. For this trip to the 18 layers of hell, everything will be arranged by Uncle Master Du. We just need to listen to his orders. Among the crowd, Lu Jingyun spoke as such. In response, Du Xiaofu only nodded and didn't decline at all. The others also did not make any objections. Du Xiaofu's identity and strength were there for all to see. It was enough to convince everyone. It's a pity that the experts from the 3,000 sectors have not arrived yet. Otherwise, our chances would be greater this time. Long K sighed slightly and many people nodded in agreement. The strength of the 3,000 sectors was very strong. If all of them rushed to the 33 heavens and entered the 18 layers of hell together, it would be an extremely strong battle force. For this trip to the 18 layers of hell, we don't need all the top battle forces of the 33 heavens and 3,000 sectors to come out. Consider it as a vanguard to prepare for the great battle in the future. Du Xiaofu pondered for a moment, then said, "We only need to wait for the other worlds of the 33 heavens to finish gathering. Then, we can set off. Hopefully, we can deal a heavy blow to the devil race." His eyes were burning, but his expression was solemn. The surrounding experts also had solemn expressions. This was a challenge and also a gamble. Everyone hoped to win in the end. However, the process might be much more terrifying than they imagined. At this moment, the void in the distance trembled. Then, a large group of figures walked out of the void and appeared in front of everyone. Emperor Taiping Tsangtian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts. Among the people who came, someone spoke loudly. His voice was loud and clear, and it reached the ears of Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Chu Daoju, and everyone else. As the voice fell, the group of people also arrived in front of the many experts. With the power of the primordial spirit, one could clearly sense that there were people who were not in the meditative realm. The other hundreds of thousands of people were all immortal experts. Emperor Taiping Tsangtian has finally arrived. The experts of this world exchanged a few polite words with Du Xiaofu and the others. Then, they gathered together and continued to wait. With the addition of these experts, the group grew rapidly, and the number of experts doubled. However, as soon as everyone stood still, another wave of fluctuation came. Then, a large number of experts arrived. Xin Guantang Tian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts to fight the demon clan. Another powerful world's experts had arrived. There were humans and beasts among them. They were extremely powerful. Their arrival caused the bloody chi in the divine demon battlefield to tremble horribly. Instantly, a lot of it was dispersed. The auras of hundreds of thousands of people intertwined together. It was really terrifying. Yuanding Chengmeng Tian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts to fight the demon clan. Mayuan Yechu Tian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts of the world. Jihuang Zhenxian Tian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts of the 33 heavens. Dazzling Tian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts of the world. Xilan Honghong Tian is here to enter the 18 layers of hell with the other experts to fight the demon clan. With the arrival of the first two, it was as if some kind of balance had been broken. In the next period of time, there were huge fluctuations coming from the void of the divine demon battlefield from time to time. Experts arrived one after another. There were humans, beasts, and demons. Many powerful races appeared in the world. Among them, there were even races that had been passed down from ancient times. They were extremely powerful. The strength of the 33 heavens is gathered in one place. It's really spectacular, Du Xiaofu murmured in his heart. He could not help but sigh. Under his gaze, the various worlds were extremely powerful. The number of experts was not inferior to the supreme Changrong heaven. Among them, there were even worlds that were much more powerful than the 35 holy lands and 72 holy kingdoms of the supreme Changrong heaven. With so many people gathered together, the scene was grand and terrifying. As time passed, people from the other worlds of the 33 heavens, such as the great multiverse heavens, the great ultimate beginning heavens, the thoughtless and dimmed heavens, the peaceful and peaceful young heavens, the Tao fetus barren heavens, the true purity Yu heavens, the vast universe ancient ducks heavens, and the other worlds all appeared and gathered outside the gates of hell. With such a powerful force gathered together, it should be enough to make a trip to the 18 layers of hell, Du Xiaofu thought to himself. His gaze swept over the experts of the various worlds. With such a terrifying force gathered together, it was far more powerful than he'd imagined. The 18 layers of hell were forbidden lands. Since ancient times, few people had known about them. Naturally, the dangers within were far more terrifying than he'd imagined. To tell the truth, although Du Xiaofu wanted to lead the charge into the 18 layers of hell, he didn't have much confidence in succeeding. Everything he'd done was for the sake of striking first to gain the upper hand. He wanted to avoid falling into a passive position after Jiangchen recovered and the demon clan went completely berserk. But now that the experts of the various worlds of the 33 heavens had gathered here, he felt slightly more at ease. At this very moment, virtually all of the 33 heavens peak experts had gathered here. The dragons, the phoenixes, and the Qilins. All three of the most powerful ancient clans had emerged. The total number of meditated warriors from all the worlds was over 200, and the number of immortals reached a shocking 6 million. Although this wasn't the full strength of the 33 heavens, it wasn't too far off. Du Xiaofu suddenly felt that perhaps this trip to the 18 layers of hell would truly cause a huge commotion. Even if they couldn't completely destroy the demon clan's scheme, they'd definitely be able to ruthlessly peel off a layer of their skin. The 33 heavens are incomparably powerful. Every major race is glorious beyond compare. But from this, it's easy to imagine how terrifying the demon clan will be once they truly emerge from hell. Even as his confidence soared, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of this. The current 33 heavens were indeed very powerful. However, compared to the ancient era, it was still a lot weaker. After all, in that era, the heavens and earth had just been opened. Order had yet to be established, the laws had yet to appear, and life had yet to flourish. There were many Tao-carrying powerhouses, not to mention meditated and immortal powerhouses. But even in such a powerful situation, the demon clan, under the leadership of the demon ancestor, had still swept through the 33 heavens, plunging the entire world into a bloody war. Relatively speaking, the most terrifying aspect of the demon clan lay in their fearless slaughter and the ferocity of the demon ancestor and other demon powerhouses. They were able to resist the likes of Great God Pengu and Empyrean Absolute. They had been suppressed in the 18 layers of hell for countless years and inevitably retained many powerhouses. Most importantly, the demon ancestor had now reawakened and was recovering step by step. No one could stop the rise of the demon clan. With so many powerhouses from the various great worlds, they'll definitely be able to overturn the 18 layers of hell and turn it upside down. Yes, on this trip, we'll definitely give the demon clan a good taste of their own medicine. Don't they want the 33 heavens to be reduced to a demon domain? Let's turn the 18 layers of hell into a true hell first. Even if we die this time, we must destroy the demon clan's plot and crush their plans. We absolutely cannot allow the demon clan to leave hell and wreak havoc in the 33 heavens. After the many powerhouses arrived, many people began to discuss, all of them impassioned and filled with great courage. In fact, some of them were even prepared to die and wanted to go all out. They were the peak powerhouses of the 33 heavens, and had the responsibility to protect all living beings. With the demon clan in chaos, they had to be the first to resist. If they could preserve the 33 heavens and prevent the demon clan from taking a single step out of the 18 layers of hell, then even if most of their powerhouses died, the result would still be a success. Thinking of this, many people surged with fighting spirit, stirring up the void and twisting together, causing the heavens and earth to tremble uncontrollably. The scarlet radiance that filled the sky in the Fiend God battle mirror was dispersed by this terrifying power. Is everyone here? At this moment, a faint voice rang out. It wasn't loud, but it clearly passed into the ears of the millions of people present, causing them to be startled as they felt a great pressure descend upon them. The scene instantly became eerily quiet. The scene that was noisy just a moment ago quieted down in the blink of an eye. Everyone looked at a certain place in the void, only to see that without any fluctuations, the figure of an azure-robed man walked out and landed directly beside Du Xiaofu. Is this the expert at the Dao vessel stage? The appearance of the azure-robed man attracted everyone's attention. According to the rumors, it wasn't difficult for them to speculate that this person was Lu Xiaoyu, the one who severely injured the blood ancestor in the Qian Su Jinghua heaven and killed a large number of beast clan powerhouses with his gaze. The gazes of the millions of people all became reverent as they looked at the azure-robed man's figure. All of them couldn't help but slightly lower their heads in respect. This was a legendary powerhouse. At this moment, he had truly appeared in front of everyone, making it difficult for them to look straight at him. This was a Dao-bearing expert who carried the Dao with his body. He had condensed a great Dao himself and transcended the shackles and restraints imposed by the world. Senior brother, everyone is here. Send everyone to the 18 levels of hell. Du Xiaofu stepped forward and cupped his hands towards his senior brother Lu Xiaoyu as he spoke. Good. Lu Xiaoyu nodded and said, as I said before, you must be careful. If you encounter a situation that you can't resist, think of a way to protect your life first. You can think of other ways in the future. Everyone is the same. He warned Du Xiaofu again. There was a hint of worry between his handsome brows that couldn't be dispelled. This seemed to be something that was rarely seen. I understand. I will definitely act according to senior brother's instructions. Du Xiaofu replied solemnly. This was the second time that his senior brother had said this. Naturally, Du Xiaofu would treat it seriously. He knew that he would play a crucial role in the battle to completely kill the demon ancestor in the future. Naturally, he would be careful to protect his life. Otherwise, all the plans would be for naught. Many powerhouses from the 3,000 sectors have also made their preparations and are rushing to the 33 heavens. Once they arrive, when needed, I will send them to the 18 levels of hell to help you. Lu Xiaoyu spoke again as he looked at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu nodded and replied, Since everyone is fully prepared, then there's no need to delay any longer. I will send everyone to the 18 levels of hell. Then, Lu Xiaoyu didn't say anything else. He directly stretched out a finger and fiercely drew a line in the void. Swish! This finger was like an extremely sharp knife that split the void open, and a huge, spatial crack appeared. In this crack, there were violent auras of death, violence, blood, and murder. Vaguely, one could hear the cries of battle that would make one's scalp go numb. Needless to say, this was the aura of the 18 levels of hell. Let's go. Du Xiaofu did not think too much about it. He took the lead and led Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, Long San, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and many other experts of the transcendent Changrong heaven into the spatial crack. Let's go. Kill our way into the 18 levels of hell and kill the demon clan. The powerhouses from the other worlds of the 33 heavens also moved quickly and rushed into the spatial crack like a swarm of bees. One by one, they disappeared. When the spatial crack closed, the divine demon battlefield became extremely spacious. Only a few powerhouses stayed behind to guard. Vaguely, one could hear voices from the spatial crack. This time, we will definitely turn the 18 levels of hell upside down. Chapter 2902. Du Xiaofu, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, Chu Daoju, Long San, and the millions of experts from the 33 heavens only felt a strong light flash in front of them, and then they entered the 18 levels of hell. What pounced on their faces was a strong, murderous aura. Everywhere they could see was a scene of devastation. Waves of fishy wind swept over, making people want to vomit. In the entire space, there were waves of strong devil chi lingering. It was extremely terrifying. The ground was covered with eerie broken bones. Not a single one of them was in a complete state. In the distant river, scarlet blood flowed. A large amount of fog shrouded the sky, causing the sky to be dark and blood-red. Such a space caused many experts to feel shocked. He had never seen it before. Even if the God-Devil War realm had been soaked in blood for countless years, it could not compare to the terrifying aura of this place. This area could definitely be called a devil's domain. As expected of the name of hell, it is so terrifying. It is said that the 18 levels of hell are worlds created by the devil ancestor in ancient times. With his characteristic of killing, the worlds he created are also like this. Just standing here makes people feel flustered and tremble. I really don't know what kind of grand occasion the 18 levels of hell were when they were at their peak. Many powerhouses began to discuss among themselves. They could not help but feel shocked. In ancient times, the demon clan's ferocious reputation was blazing. Even after so many years, it still made people tremble in fear. No one had ever entered the 18 levels of hell. Everything they knew only existed in legends. And now that they had personally come, it was impossible for them not to feel uneasy. This is the first level of the 18 levels of hell. There are many devils here, but they are not very strong. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed as he looked around, and at the same time, he said to the many experts around him. In the past, because he had chased Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin, he had come to the first level of the 18 levels of hell. He could be considered the only person who understood this place. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the others also began to size up the situation in this space. They could indeed sense the existence of many creatures. These creatures were all very strange. Some were different from those of the 33 heavens. Some had demon horns, some were covered in scales, some had sinister spikes on their backs, some had arms as sharp as blades, and so on and so forth. Just by looking at the forms of these creatures, one could determine that they were born to kill. The first level of the 18 levels of hell. I wonder what level the devil ancestor has entered, to what extent has he recovered, and how strong is he? An expert narrowed his eyes as he spoke. This was the question that everyone was most concerned about. The most terrifying powerhouse of the demon race was the demon ancestor. It was under his leadership that the life forms of the 33 heavens felt an endless pressure. Everyone wanted to know where the devil ancestor was, how many seals he had broken, and how much primordial spirit power he had obtained. Let's not think so much. Yu Qing Divine Emperor, tell us what to do. We will listen to your orders. At this moment, an expert of the third level of meditative realm spoke and cast his gaze at Du Xiaofu, who was at the front of the crowd. Everyone nodded in agreement. Entering the 18 levels of hell naturally required a leader. They could not fight as a sheet of loose sand, and Du Xiaofu was the most suitable candidate. Firstly, although he was young, his cultivation was not weak, so they could obey. Secondly, the expert of the carrier realm, Lu Xiaoyu, was Du Xiaofu's senior brother. Based on this identity, no one dared to go against his will. Thirdly, many people had heard of Du Xiaofu's deeds recently. They knew that he was not a mediocre person and had enough ability to lead everyone. Previously, killing his way into the Qian Su Jinghua heaven was the best example. All right, Du Xiaofu nodded and said, our first task is to break through the levels one by one until we meet the devil ancestor. During this period, if we meet any experts of the devil clan, kill them all. We must not leave any future trouble. To put it bluntly, what we need to do is to directly sweep through. We don't need to achieve a big goal. We only need to make the places we pass into the Qian Su Jinghua heaven and weaken the strength of the devil clan. As Du Xiaofu spoke, the place was silent. Everyone listened carefully to his words. When he finished, everyone nodded in agreement, indicating that they understood. Hee hee, I like this approach. Don't the devil clan like to kill? Let's kill them first. An expert's eyes shone with a fierce light as he said coldly. No one knew the situation in the 18 levels of hell clearly. Therefore, it seemed unrealistic to want to achieve a goal. Therefore, after Du Xiaofu's words came out, everyone felt that it was very reasonable. Instead of setting an unrealistic goal, it was better to directly kill and sweep through like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Our arrival will definitely cause a huge commotion in the 18 hells. Fellow Taoists, for the peace of the 33 heavens, for the survival of all races, kill the devil clan. In the existence of the 18 levels of hell, one by one, the experts began to shout. Everyone's emotions were stirred up and they were incomparably excited. Go! Du Xiaofu waved his hand and took the lead. He directly rushed into the depths. Kill. The millions of experts of the 33 heavens also moved. Everyone raised their swords and sabers and rushed to various places in this world. They maintained a tenacious front line and pushed into the depths. In just an instant, the first level of hell began to boil. The many creatures here saw a large number of experts descend. Without a word, they began a tragic massacre. Why are there so many powerhouses that have come to my 18 levels of hell? These seem to be life forms from the outside world, but they are actually such terrifying powerhouses. This is too terrifying. What are they trying to do? Could it be that they want to sweep through my 18 levels of hell? Crazy. Too crazy. Do they think there is no one in my 18 levels of hell? We must make these creatures stay here and kill them all. Kill. Make the life forms of the 33 heavens pay the price. In the first layer of hell, many of the devil race's members were shocked. Looking at the different appearances of these life forms arriving, they knew that these people likely came from the 33 heavens. The demon powerhouses were enraged. This was simply not placing them in their eyes at all. The 33 heavens actually dared to slaughter their way into the 18 levels of hell. This was too arrogant. Soon, countless demons rushed into the skies and welcomed the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. Humph. So the demons of the first level of hell only have this much strength. They want to resist us? They are simply throwing away their lives. Among the life forms of the 33 heavens, someone coldly snorted. Under the perception of everyone's primordial spirit, it wasn't difficult to discover that the strongest demon powerhouses were at the truth-severing boundary. There were also some at the immortal boundary, but there were very few of them. Compared to the powerhouses of the 33 heavens, they were simply negligible. Since they've delivered themselves to our doorstep, let's just accept them. That's right. All demons deserve to die. If they want to cause chaos in the 33 heavens, they should first cause chaos in the 18 levels of hell. Kill. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens shouted out one after another. Their bodies surged with a powerful fighting spirit as they rushed into the midst of the demons and began a fierce slaughter. With such a great disparity in strength, when the two armies collided, the result was completely one-sided. Even though the demons were numerous, they weren't able to withstand the might of the 33 heavens. The life forms of the 33 heavens were simply too powerful. The weakest amongst them were at the immortal boundary, and there were also several hundred meditative realm powerhouses amongst them. Each and every one of them was able to sweep through a vast expanse of devilish beings, creating an absolute crushing force. In just several breaths of time, a great number of demons had been killed or wounded, and such a situation was like a bucket of cold water being poured over them, causing the demons to feel a chill run down their spines from head to toe. It was only at this time that they were able to truly distinguish the situation between the two sides. Relatively speaking, the strength of the first level of the 18 levels of hell was far too weak. Under the assault of several million demons, they were completely routed. How can these life forms be so strong? They're actually all immortal powerhouses. This is too terrifying. It seems that it's not just immortal powerhouses, but also a great number of meditative powerhouses. We can't resist them. What are the 33 heavens thinking? Could it be that they've turned out in full force? The members of the devil race were all panicking. Many of them were chattering their teeth. It was true that they loved to slaughter and did not fear death, but in the face of such a powerful opponent, they didn't even have the strength to resist. This naturally gave birth to a great sense of fear. We can't fight anymore. Retreat. Hurry and retreat. These people are too strong. We aren't their match. Hurry and retreat to the second level of hell. There are many powerhouses in the second level of hell. Blocking them will be much easier. Staying here will only lead to a meaningless death. Retreat. As the demons saw the might of the powerhouses of the 33 heavens from afar, they instantly felt the desire to retreat. Large swathes of figures flew into the distance, preparing to retreat to the second level of hell. There were even more demon powerhouses there. Their overall strength was much greater than this space. It's impossible for the second level of hell to block these people. It looks like we'll have to go even deeper. In the area of retreat, some demon powerhouses thought. They secretly estimated the strength of the life forms of the 33 heavens and came to such a conclusion. The 33 heavens were absolutely powerful. If it weren't for the demon ancestor and some other powerhouses leading them, then even if the demons all moved out at the same time, it would still be difficult for them to sweep through all the great worlds. Thus, in the face of so many powerhouses attacking them, many people felt that this would be a difficult struggle. But they weren't particularly worried. As long as they could escape with their lives and enter the depths of the 18 levels of hell, everything would be fine. There was also the Lord Demon General and Lord Demon Attendant. In addition, the Lord Demon Ancestor was also in the depths of hell. Don't waste time here. Just push your way through. The demons on this level are too weak. There's no need to waste too much time here. Among the powerhouses of the 33 heavens, Du Xiaofu took the lead. The purple-gold heavenly fault in his hand shot out beams of dazzling sword light. Every time he cut down, a massive number of demons would die. As he slaughtered, he shouted out to the surrounding crowd. He had already expected the general situation of the first level of hell. The life forms here weren't too strong. They simply weren't a threat to his million-strong army. The stronger challenges were still to come. He didn't want to waste too much time on this level. If he allowed the demons on this level to retreat early and allow the other 17 levels of hell to prepare, that would not be a good thing for his side. Thus, Du Xiaofu directly rushed through, killing all the demons he encountered along the way. His goal was the gateway to the second level of hell. He didn't know the exact location of the gateway, but by following the direction in which the demons had retreated, he was able to get a rough idea. Kill. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens constantly shouted, their voices shaking the 9 heavens. Kill. Follow the Yu Qing Divine Emperor and find the entrance to the second level of hell. In the midst of the slaughter, they didn't stop for long. They directly rushed through, killing all the demons along the way. Everyone followed closely behind Du Xiaofu as they rushed into the depths of the first level of hell. In the ancient times, each level of hell was its own independent world. It was similar to the 33 heavens. However, in the final battle, Great God Pangu and Heavenly Lord Daluo worked together to form the 18 levels of hell into a single entity. In other words, it's a great array that has the power to seal each other. As they advanced, Lu Jingyun transmitted his voice to Du Xiaofu. I already know this. Back in the divine battle world, I was fortunate enough to see the illusion left behind by Heavenly Lord Daluo. Du Xiaofu nodded. Back then, Heavenly Lord Daluo had transformed Daluo Heaven into a great array that enveloped the 33 heavens and suppressed the demon ancestor's physical body. Great God Pango had used his own strength and the power of many worlds to seal the 18 levels of hell and split the demon ancestor's nascent soul into 18 parts. In other words, each level of hell was separated by a powerful barrier. However, after so many years in the 18 levels of hell, Jiangchen must have broken through many of the seals. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to obtain every bit of the demon ancestor's nascent soul power. After each level of hell seal is broken, large numbers of demons will follow the demon ancestor and enter even deeper levels. Thus, the further we go, the greater the resistance we'll encounter. In the depths of hell, there's likely to be a large number of demon powerhouses. The realm of eternity, the realm of meditative forgetfulness, and even the realm of Tao Carrier. Lu Jingyun spoke again with a solemn expression on his face. This was merely a guess on the surface, but it was enough to strike fear into anyone's heart. The blood ancestor had fled here, and there were a few demon generals who'd been sealed along with the demon ancestor's nascent soul. They were all in the realm of Tao Carrier, so if they were to emerge, the situation wouldn't be optimistic. If that really happened, perhaps only his father, Lu Xiaoyu, would have a chance. I've thought about this as well, but it's precisely because of this situation that I feel we shouldn't waste too much time. If we push our way through, perhaps we'll be able to reap even more rewards. Du Xiaofu's eyes glowed resplendently as he spoke. He'd learned that the 18 levels of hell didn't just contain the demon ancestor's nascent soul, they also contained demon generals. Every demon general was extremely powerful, even stronger than the two great demon attendants of the past, Dongli Qihuang and Shan Yan. When they were at their peak, they were all in the realm of Tao Carrier and were extremely terrifying. No matter which devil general it was, they would definitely be a powerhouse that was difficult to resist. Just like the blood ancestor, they couldn't be resisted by other powerhouses of the Tao Carrier realm. Even if it was an expert at the third level of meditative oblivion, he was like an ant before a Tao vessel realm expert, and he could be slapped to death with a single slap. This sort of gap was truly too huge. Carrying the Tao with one's body, accomplishing one's own grand Tao, and escaping the shackles of the energy of the heavens and the earth was unimaginably terrifying. Counter soldiers with arms, water with earthweir. Let's go. Since we've come to the 18th layer of hell, we must make the demon race suffer. Du Xiaofu's eyes burned brightly as if he was looking through the void. He didn't say anything else, and he continued charging towards the depths of the first level of hell. Behind them, millions of powerhouses from the 33 heavens followed. Each one of them had a ferocious aura. As they cut down the demons not too far away, they advanced at full speed. The first layer of hell was incomparably vast, no less than a world of the 33 heavens. After spending a lot of time, they finally arrived at a special area. Here, a gigantic volcanic crater appeared in front of everyone. Clusters of flames spat out tongues of fire, burning the void into a chaotic state, making the air above the volcanic crater look like a swamp. What a terrifying place. It really looks like a purgatory. Seeing such a frightening scene, some powerhouses broke out in a cold sweat, not daring to approach the volcanic crater. Presumably, this is the gateway to the second layer of hell. The seal here has been broken, but the remaining power is still terrifying. Du Xiaofu said softly as he stared ahead. The terrifying energy erupting from the volcanic crater was so terrifying that even with his current strength, he could feel the monstrous heat coming from it. Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. The hellfire was extremely hot, capable of burning through a person's body and divine soul. If one's cultivation was insufficient to step into it, they would likely end up destroyed in body and soul. Fortunately, the millions of people that came from the 33 heavens were at least at the immortal boundary. If they wanted to pass through this broken seal, there might be some trouble, but it wouldn't stop them from advancing. His senior apprentice brother Lu Xiaoyu had said that one had to be at least at the immortal boundary to enter the 18th layer of hell. Once we pass through here, we'll reach the second layer of hell. Let's go and see what kind of demon race powerhouses we'll encounter in the second layer. Lu Jingyun took a step forward and directly appeared above the volcanic crater, allowing the terrifying flames to burn his body. He stood there like a god that had been tempered hundreds of times, dignified and imposing. The layers of terrifying strength were completely isolated from his body. Chapter 2903. Following Lu Jingyun's lead, the rest of the powerhouses moved as well. Hundreds of meditative realm powerhouses moved at the same time, creating a giant dome of light that enveloped the millions of immortal realm cultivators. Under the protection of the meditative realm powerhouses, everyone leaped into the air and dived into the terrifying volcano. The raging flames engulfed the millions of people. Even though the meditative realm powerhouses blocked the flames, many people still felt the heat penetrate their souls and their primordial spirits hurt. Inside the giant volcano, bursts of whistling noises could be heard. Screams that sounded like the wails of ghosts could be heard, making one's scalp tingle. Clusters of fire flickered and swayed, melting everything and burning fiercely. This scene was just like the purgatory of legends. It was incomparably terrifying. Du Xiaofu and the others couldn't help but feel a little flustered. The seal before them was broken by the demon ancestor, yet it was already so powerful. It was hard to imagine how terrifying it must have been in the ancient times when the seal was still intact. The group of people endured the unimaginable heat as they continued to descend. After a long time, it was as if they were traveling between worlds. After all, this was the 18 levels of hell. It was set up by Pangu. Therefore, the hundreds of meditative realm cultivators here couldn't travel quickly. Though the power of the flames is terrifying, it can train the body and the soul. If I train here for a long time, I will definitely benefit a lot. As they descended, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think to himself. He carefully felt the burning sensation all over his body and felt the subtle changes in his body. The power of the fire of hell could burn everything, including the primordial spirit. However, if one could withstand it and train his body, he would gain unimaginable benefits. One could say that this was a dangerous place, but at the same time, it was also a blessed place. Whoosh, with that thought in mind, Du Xiaofu made his move. He broke free from the protective force that Lu Jingyun had set up and entered the flames. And this action really gave many people a big fright. What is the Yuqing Emperor doing? Many people were puzzled and couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Hellfire is too dangerous. God Emperor, be careful. Some people thought that Du Xiaofu might have discovered something and wanted to go in to investigate. They couldn't help but shout, "Dad!" Little Xingxing's pretty eyes rotated, and she quickly understood Du Xiaofu's thoughts. She knew her father too well. She knew that he definitely wanted to use the uniqueness of this area to train himself. Beside little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao's eyes were also filled with shock. His cultivation was not weak, but he did not dare to rashly step into those flames. Huff, huff, huff. When Du Xiaofu entered the flames, his entire body was instantly enveloped by the boundless burning power. Those tongues of flame were like the forked tongues of a viper, licking Du Xiaofu's body from every angle. With each bite, a small scorched hole would appear on his qi outside his body. Since he wants to train himself, let's do it more fiercely. Faced with such a situation, Du Xiaofu's eyes shone brightly as he muttered to himself. Then, he immediately withdrew all the energy around his body and allowed the flames to engulf his entire body. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was engulfed and he disappeared. This scene shocked the millions of experts even more. Uncle Master Du was able to reach this stage at such a young age. It's not like he came from nowhere. Lu Jingyun couldn't help but exclaim as he watched Du Xiaofu's actions. That's right. After entering the 18 levels of hell, he's still thinking about increasing his strength and using the hellfire to train himself. How can an ordinary person do something like this? This little guy is really not simple. Amongst the powerhouses of the 33 heavens, an old man in the meditative realm stroked his beard. He looked at Du Xiaofu with eyes full of amazement. It was precisely his words that caused everyone present to be fiercely shocked. What? The Yuqing godly emperor wants to use the hellfire to train himself? That's crazy. Isn't he afraid of being burned to ashes? Lunatic. He's really a lunatic. How dare he? That's the hellfire. That's right. The seal here could even suppress the primordial spirit of the demon ancestor. Even if it's just a broken flame, it's definitely not something an ordinary person can withstand. The illusory realm. He was able to reach such a legendary realm. He didn't do it through trickery. In an instant, the immortal realm experts of the 33 heavens were in an uproar as they discussed excitedly. Du Xiaofu's actions were too crazy, causing everyone to feel aghast. They couldn't imagine that other than those in the meditative realm who would dare to come into contact with such a terrifying environment. The Yuqing godly emperor had already withdrawn his protective energy. If he wasn't careful, there wouldn't be anything left of him. This young Yuqing godly emperor will definitely surpass all of us in the future. In the 33 heavens, another meditative realm expert sighed. His eyes were as deep as the abyss, and there was an uncontrollable fluctuation in them. From Du Xiaofu, he saw a spirit that many cultivators didn't have. In order to increase his own strength, he wouldn't be afraid of danger. As long as there was something to be gained, he would definitely do it. Most importantly, Du Xiaofu also had countless opportunities. With these two factors, Du Xiaofu was naturally able to reach a height that others could never hope to reach. I wonder what the Yu Qing godly emperor will gain this time. How much will he gain? An expert smacked his lips and said. Many people were envious, but at the same time, they couldn't help but smile bitterly. They didn't have Du Xiaofu's strength, but they also didn't have his courage. In order to cultivate, the purple-robed young man was going all out. Surrounded by the hellfire, the group continued to descend. Du Xiaofu moved with them. This was a long-distance jump. It would probably take a long time. Covered by the boundless flames, Du Xiaofu felt that he was burning red. He was like a piece of metal that was being cooked. Layers of red skin were burning and peeling off. Like iron slag, they were finally burned to ashes. His entire person looked like a golden body made of molten iron. Huff, huff, huff. In Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace, his primordial spirit was being calcined and refined. However, the hellfire was too terrifying. His consciousness was being burned, and he wasn't in a clear state of mind. Fortunately, there was intense pain all over his body at all times, allowing Du Xiaofu to maintain a bit of consciousness in the midst of the pain again and again. He clenched his teeth and purplish gold blood flowed out. Then, like oil, a cluster of thick flames appeared in the hellfire. Hold on. I must be able to hold on. Du Xiaofu kept thinking in his heart, using only his physical body and primordial spirit to resist such power. He tried his best to resist and did not use his own strength to dissolve the terrifying heat. Every time the hellfire burned his body, it would have a great tempering effect. Du Xiaofu could feel that whether it was his physical body or his primordial spirit, they were becoming more and more solid in this process. As long as he could hold on until the end, the benefits he would gain would be unimaginable. However, the prerequisite for all of this was to be able to hold on. Brother Jingyun. Under the protection of many powerhouses, little Xingxing suddenly raised her head and looked at Lu Jingyun. She asked, "How is father?" With her strength, she could not see Du Xiaofu's condition clearly. However, she could not help but worry. Uncle Du's condition is not very good. However, his life is not in danger. He has completely removed his defensive power. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he would be able to resist the hellfire. However, after being tempered and refined by the hellfire, his strength will increase tremendously. Lu Jingyun said, directly dispelling little Xingxing's worries. Indeed, the hellfire was extremely terrifying. Even high-level immortal realm experts would be burned to ashes if they did not use their full strength. Therefore, in order to preserve their battle strength and ensure that everyone could display their full strength after entering the second layer of hell, many meditative immortal realm experts took action to protect themselves, leading millions of people through the hellfire barrier. However, everything Du Xiaofu was doing now was to increase his strength. Lu Jingyun could see through Du Xiaofu's current condition, so he was not too worried. He believed that once Du Xiaofu could not hold on, he would definitely choose to use his own strength to resist. It's good that he's fine. Hearing Lu Jingyun's words, little Xingxing heaved a long sigh of relief. Then, after a moment of silence, she suddenly said, "Brother Jingyun, I want to give it a try too." Although she asked in a questioning tone, little Xingxing did not ask for Lu Jingyun's, Long K's, or Long Su's permission. She directly jumped into the hellfire. Under such circumstances, the dozen or so meditative immortal realm experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds were caught off guard. "Little sister, be careful," Long K and Long Su shouted at the same time, their hearts trembling with fear. They were very clear about little Xingxing's cultivation. She was only at the 5th sky of immortal realm. Although she had mastered 3 complete primordial laws, her true strength was comparable to high-level immortal realm experts. However, if Little Star used all his strength to resist the hellfire, he would definitely be able to endure it. However, If he wanted to learn from Du Xiaofu and use the terrifying flames to temper himself, it would be an extremely dangerous thing to do. That's the Yu Qing Divine Emperor's daughter. The little girl looks beautiful, but she's also so fierce. If you're not a family, you won't enter the same house. This father and daughter pair are both crazy. Without a doubt, they can reach a height that ordinary people can't reach at such a young age. One has surpassed the truth-severing realm with 4 complete primordial laws and stepped into the void path. The other has also mastered 3 complete primordial laws. This father and daughter pair are too frightening. I hope they can make some progress this time. That way, when we deal with the Devil Clan later, our overall strength will be stronger. The millions of experts in the 33 heavens began to discuss. They were all amazed by Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing, especially little Xingxing. Her cultivation was not particularly strong. There were many 8th sky and 9th sky immortal realm experts present, but no one dared to enter the hellfire. I want to try to. If I temper my primordial spirit and body here, I can definitely make rapid progress. I can't be left behind by Du Xiaofu. Just as everyone was still in shock, another voice spoke out. At the same time, they heard an earth-shattering roar, which shook the eardrums of many people. Immediately after, the figure of a red-boned horse monkey, which was as tall and majestic as a mountain, appeared. Its huge feet took a step forward and stepped into the boundless flames. Du Xiaoyao, this guy, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, and the others were all amazed. They were all stunned. Under everyone's gaze, little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao entered the hellfire one after another. The aura and power they had placed around their bodies were all removed. The tongues of fire licked their bodies. Every bite caused a black hole to appear on their bodies. Their bodies instantly turned red from the heat. Some of their body parts directly fell down and turned into powder. The tyrannical power invaded, causing Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing's bodies to distort, as if they were about to melt into liquid. The hellfire was simply too fierce. After removing their defenses, the strength of the 2 of them was insufficient to resist it. In just a moment, a huge crisis had already appeared. Many powerhouses felt their bodies tense up when they saw this. If this were to continue, then it probably wouldn't be long before the blazing flames would invade every inch of their flesh and soul core, causing them to transform into wisps of smoke. These 2 fellows are really bold. Seeing this situation, Long Ke could not help but laugh bitterly and shake his head fiercely. I'd better help them. Otherwise, it would really be dangerous. Lu Ying stepped forward lightly and struck out a 5-colored brilliance. Releasing a clear splendor, it enveloped Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing within. Under such protection, the condition of Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing slowly stabilized. Their distorted bodies returned to their original state. Like molten iron that had met with some coldness, it solidified a little. Under Lu Ying's control, a large amount of hellfire passed through her defenses and invaded Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing's bodies. However, this amount was extremely well controlled. Therefore, while the 2 of them were experiencing immense pain, their bodies and primordial spirits were also undergoing refinement and transformation, just like Du Xiaofu. Traces of impurities were removed by the raging flames, and the energy in their bodies was also cleansed, becoming purer and purer. If not for the fact that we have to enter the 2nd level of hell and preserve our strength, I would also want to go and properly refine myself. Chu Daoju could not help but lick his lips and actually felt a little envious. However, right now, no matter how he looked at it, he could not compare to Du Xiaofu. If he were to enter the hellfire, he would definitely need the help of a meditative forgetting expert. There will always be a chance. There's no need to rush. Ling Feng opened his mouth and advised with a hint of pity. The most important mission this time was to eliminate the demons, so they definitely needed to preserve everyone's strength. As a result, it was impossible for many people to enter the hellfire to be refined. Even though they felt pity, no one felt dissatisfied. Du Xiaofu had relied on his own strength to do all of this, while Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing had the assistance of a meditative forgetting expert. Most people would be envious of such treatment. In the following period of time, everyone continued to watch Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing refined themselves in the hellfire. The damaged seal connected the first and second levels of hell. It was equivalent to the crack between the two worlds of the 33 heavens. They needed to pass through it to reach the second level. They did not move very quickly, so they spent a very long time there. Only several years later did they sense an even more brutal and bloody presence pass through the raging flames. "We're almost there." Lu Jingyuan narrowed his eyes slightly as he said from within the group. "The second level of hell, we're here." Many experts regained their spirits and gathered their ferocious qi, preparing for battle. In the second level of hell, they would definitely encounter even stronger resistance than in the first level. However, they did not know if there would be any powerhouses that they could not handle. However, no matter what the situation was, it could not stop the footsteps of the experts of the 33 heavens. I wonder how those three are doing now. It's time for them to wake up. Chu Daoju cast his gaze towards the hellfire. He saw Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing wrapped in scarlet flames. They were about to arrive at the second level of hell. If they did not wake up soon, they would have to forcefully interrupt them. However, that was not the result he wanted. It would definitely not benefit those three fellows. "They're awake," Lu Jingyuan said all of a sudden. As soon as his voice fell, he saw that in Du Xiaofu's direction, a bright light suddenly soared from the scarlet figure that was like blazing iron, covering the entire figure. Then, wisps of green smoke rose from the scarlet figure. Its color slowly darkened, and finally, Du Xiaofu's figure was revealed. On the other side, Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing also slowly emerged from the state of tempering under Lu Ying's interference. The situation was similar to Du Xiaofu's as they gradually revealed their figures in front of everyone. Swish! The three of them opened their eyes almost at the same time. 6 beams of light shot out from their eyes like 6 sharp swords, piercing through the void and creating black holes. Within these black holes, there was a chaotic aura constantly rolling. Chapter 2904. Phew! Du Xiaofu stood in the air and set up a celestial qi shield around his body, isolating himself from the terrifying hellfire. He carefully sensed his current state, and a feeling of pleasant surprise welled up in his heart. As expected, the hellfire is extraordinary. After a long period of tempering, it actually condensed my physical body and primordial spirit to such an extent. He couldn't help but be overjoyed, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up into a smile. After so many days, his physical body had been tempered to an extreme, and his immortal Xin body had reached another level, reaching the peak. It was difficult for him to make any further progress. Du Xiaofu faintly felt that even if he didn't use the Azure Spirit Armor and the Azure Dragon Body, his defensive power had reached the same level as the Hellfire. It was very terrifying. In addition to the huge transformation of his physical body, the power of his primordial spirit had also increased significantly. As the one and only virtual Way realm after the ancient times, it was very close to the Great Way. Under the fusion of the 4 great laws, it could naturally produce the rhythm of the Great Way. And now, Du Xiaofu felt that when the power of his primordial spirit spread out, he could touch a deeper level of the power of the Great Way origin. Then, he could mobilize it for his own use. It could be said that this experience in the Hellfire was a huge sublimation, allowing his strength and cultivation to increase significantly. This kind of improvement was not an ordinary breakthrough to a higher realm, but a process of qualitative change. Little Yao, little Xingxing, these two fellows seemed to have gained a lot. When Du Xiaofu woke up, he already saw Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing's figures and couldn't help but feel surprised. And after a simple inspection, he was shocked to find that these two people's strength had also increased tremendously. The Hellfire was probably one of the most terrifying flames in the world. It could burn a person's physical body and primordial spirit. While tempering themselves here, Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing also obtained great benefits. Their mental appearance had faintly changed, becoming even more profound and vast. Get ready. We're about to enter the second level of hell, Lu Jingyuan said to Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing. His gaze became more serious as he looked at the direction of their feet. There was a boundless demonic energy surging up, passing through the blazing flames. The devil chi was far denser than it had been in the first level of hell. The second level of the 18 levels of hell? Du Xiaofu's eyes and little Xingxing, let's go in and see what it's like. After he said that, his speed increased, and he Xingxing, sinking. And Xingxing, Xingxing, Xingxing and Xingen, Xingxing, Zingen, and Zinging sing on, Xing boom. The aura of millions of people intertwined together produced a terrifying vibration, causing the entire space to shake violently. It was as if a huge rock had been thrown into a calm lake, causing huge waves to surge into the sky. Such a large group of people had extraordinary strength. Once they arrived in the second level of hell, it was as if thousands of mountains had collapsed and thousands of waves had roared. The entire space was shaken. It was as terrifying as an earthquake. Invisible ripples spread out, directly flattening millions of li of the void. Powerful cultivators have arrived. In the second level of hell, some powerful cultivators instantly sensed the situation and discovered the traces of Du Xiaofu and millions of people. Then, more powerful cultivators of the demon clan discovered this scene. Everyone was first shocked, and then a heated discussion broke out. It's people from the outside world who have broken into the 18 levels of hell. How dare they? What do they think the 18 levels of hell are? How dare they take the initiative to come to us? It's good that they're here. These people deserve to die anyway. We're just sending them on their way sooner. Mwahaha. Is this the so-called, they don't want to walk the path to heaven, but break into the gate of hell? Along with the discussions, more figures soared into the sky. No less than 100 experts of the demon clan were heading towards Du Xiaofu's group. The demon clan in the second level of hell doesn't seem to be strong enough. Someone standing next to Du Xiaofu said as if he was surprised. Indeed, those 100 experts of the demon clan were the first ones who had found them. However, although they were strong, they were only at the immortal realm. The strongest one was at the 5th or 6th sky of immortal realm. With Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, and Long Su's strength in the meditative realm, in a very short amount of time, they were able to roughly see through the Devil Clan's living beings in this space. In the second level of hell, there are more immortal realm experts than in the first level, at least several thousand. Du Xiaofu spoke, as he understood. Compared to the enormous number of the demon clan, this number was too insignificant. Once his army of millions pressed down, it would be a one-sided massacre. They would be able to directly push through. I don't think we can find any secret in this level. It's reasonable that the number of experts is small. However, if we keep going like this, the demon clan will become stronger as we go further down. At that time, it will be the most difficult time for us. Next to Du Xiaofu, an old man in the meditative forgetfulness realm revealed a worried expression. What he said made sense. The demon clan in the second level of hell was too strong. They were much stronger than the demon clan in the first level. If this situation continued, the further they went, the greater the resistance they would encounter. However, they didn't know which level they would be in when the two sides would have a fierce collision. Let's go step by step. We don't need to worry too much. Du Xiaofu pondered and then said. While they were talking, with their speed, they had already arrived in front of the hundreds of demon clan experts. When they saw that Du Xiaofu's side had millions of creatures, the demon clan experts realized the seriousness of the matter. They seemed to have underestimated the strength of the newcomers. Millions of creatures, at least in the immortal realm. Is the 33 heavens coming out in full force? This is too terrifying. Run. If we don't leave now, we will die here before we can kill our way into the 33 heavens. In an instant, more than 100 immortal realm experts of the demon clan scattered and fled into the distance. In other places in this space, more demon clan experts appeared. Originally, they were all rushing towards Du Xiaofu's group. However, after investigating the strength of these creatures, everyone began to flee. The situation was no different from the first level of hell. Kill all the demon clan experts above the immortal realm. Du Xiaofu let out a long shout from his throat. His voice shook the 9 heavens and resounded through the sky, causing the blood-red sky to tremble violently. He flashed, holding the heavenly palace of purple gold in his hand. He broke the void and directly approached a demon clan expert at 6th sky of a mortal realm, slashing his sword down. Swish! The dazzling sword light was like a falling sky pillar. It plunged and reached the demon clan expert immediately. Roar! Looking at the sword light expanding in front of him, the demon clan expert at 6th sky of a mortal realm screeched tragically. Endless fear expanded in his eyes. When Du Xiaofu's sword light fell, the demon clan expert was cut into halves. The purplish-gold heavenly sword's momentum did not decrease. It continued to charge forward and cut through the outer defenses of another devil race expert, causing him to also turn into 2 corpses that fell from the sky. Kill. The other experts also moved together with Du Xiaofu. Many of them whistled and soared into the sky. In just a blink of an eye, they stormed into the crowd of demon clan experts. The entire space in this layer was shaken violently. As the experts of the 33 heavens were slaughtering, the demon clan experts scattered and screamed continuously, "Run! Run! Run!" It was the same as the situation in the first layer of hell. The demon clan was routed. When they realized that there were so many experts who had entered and how powerful they were, no one could maintain the will to resist. All of them panicked and fled in all directions. Kill. As the powerhouses of the 33 heavens roared out, they swept through the second level of hell like a hurricane. On the ground, the soil that was originally emitting a scarlet energy was dyed red once more by the blood of the demons, flowing all over the ground. A terrifying might came crashing down like a tsunami, whistling through the air. Monstrous waves of energy surged in all directions, spreading out in all directions. The sky and the ground were filled with endless energy, raising a murderous storm. I found the entrance to the third layer of hell. Du Xiaofu took the lead. Wherever he passed, a massive number of demon clan powerhouses would fall. The number of immortal demons on this level was limited. Those below the immortal boundary were even less able to stop him. He looked like a god of death, constantly reaping lives. Facing the current situation in the second layer of hell, directly pushing through was the best choice. Before news of this spread to the third layer of hell, he needed to lead the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and continue to kill the demon clan. Hundreds of thousands of powerhouses continued to push forwards, their speed extremely fast, let alone stopping them. Even keeping their lives depended on the will of the heavens. As long as a demon clan expert was in the path of the 33 heavens army, they would all die a violent death. The second layer of hell seems to have a bit more aura than the first. In the distance, Du Xiaofu said to Lu Jingyun with a sound transmission. With a casual wave of his hand, large swathes of demon clan experts were annihilated. The methods of a seated oblivion powerhouse were truly amazing. I also vaguely feel it, but I can't distinguish it clearly. Du Xiaofu nodded and replied. He frowned, once again increasing the power of his primordial spirit, and carefully probed. The more vague it was, the more curious Du Xiaofu was, and he wanted to understand the situation. However, just as Du Xiaofu finished speaking and everyone was moving forward at full speed, there was a sudden soft plop sound that entered the ears of Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, Du Xiaofu, and the others. This soft sound was not noticeable at all, but it was clearly transmitted into the ears of these experts in the meditative realm. Plop. Not long after, another soft sound was heard. Many immortal realm experts were unable to sense it, but to the seated oblivion powerhouses, it was like a muffled drum in their ears, causing their hearts to tremble. Heartbeat. This is the sound of a heartbeat. There's a powerhouse in the dark. Long Su cried out in alarm, as if his entire body was scared stiff. Faintly, there seemed to be some kind of powerful life form hibernating in the dark, but also seemed to be in a deep sleep, making it difficult to grasp. That was the aura of a life form, and there was the sound of a heartbeat. To a powerhouse like Long Su, this kind of vague feeling made him extremely uneasy. It was very difficult to find an existence in this world that could give him such a feeling. This life aura is very extraordinary. To be able to sense it, but not be able to discover its exact location, one can imagine how terrifying its strength is. On the side, Long K pursed his lips and said after some consideration. As a powerhouse at the third level of the seated Oblivion realm, he was naturally able to vaguely sense the existence of that aura. However, just like Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others, Long K was also unable to find the exact location of that aura. However, one could imagine that the one hidden in the dark was definitely a shocking powerhouse. To be able to let the aura leak out and be sensed by others, but not be discovered by many seated Oblivion powerhouses, how ferocious must one's cultivation be to be able to do this? Perhaps it was a carrying Dao realm expert? Thinking up to here, Du Xiaofu and the other seated Oblivion realm experts' hearts couldn't help but tighten fiercely, as if an invisible hand was tightly squeezing them. Is it a devil clan ranker? Could it be a devil general who is in a deep slumber? Du Xiaofu couldn't help but make such a guess, his heart incomparably heavy. It was said that in the ancient times, devil ancestor Luoho had several devil generals by his side. Every one of them was incomparably powerful, not weaker than the blood ancestor, Yuan Feng, and the others. They were even more terrifying than the two great devil attendants, Dongli Qihuang and Chan Yin. However, in that endless battle, a group of devil generals were also suppressed one after another, and along with the devil clan's primordial spirit, they were buried in the 18 levels of hell. Now, Du Xiaofu and the others could clearly sense the aura of life in the second level of hell, and speculate that its strength was definitely extraordinary, so they couldn't help but think that it was one of those devil generals. If there really is a devil general here, I'm afraid none of us will be able to walk out of the 18 levels of hell alive, let alone go deeper and launch an even more ferocious attack against the devil clan. An old man in the meditative realm said with a deep voice and a deep sense of worry. He wasn't wrong. A devil general at the Dao vessel realm was truly too terrifying. Just like the blood ancestor, even if he'd been suppressed for countless years, he was still capable of causing a storm in the world as soon as he emerged into the world, and he caused everyone to feel fearful and terrified. If there really was a carrying Dao realm devil general in this level, and if he appeared again, then all of them would probably be buried here. And how would they be able to advance deeper into the 18 levels of hell? Thunk, thunk, thunk. Du Xiaofu and the others fell into a period of silence as they discussed. It was during this period of time that muffled thunder-like noises sounded again and again. Every time a muffled sound rang out, it was like a heavy hammer pounding on everyone's hearts, causing them to feel endless heaviness in their hearts. This feeling was so terrifying that even Du Xiaofu and the seated Oblivion realm experts couldn't ignore it. If that really is a devil general, then we can only pray that he is still sealed and can't do anything about our arrival. Du Xiaofu's face was extremely serious as he spoke softly. As he said this, he felt that his guess might be very likely. After all, they had already come here and wantonly slaughtered the devil clan. If that carrying Dao realm devil general could awaken, he would not easily tolerate the actions of the 33 heavens experts. It must be as Martial Uncle Du said. Lu Jingyun nodded, indicating that he agreed with Du Xiaofu's idea. This made many seated Oblivion realm experts heave a long sigh of relief. Killing their way into the 18 layers of hell was a crazy move. Many of them were even prepared to fight the devil clan to bring peace to the 33 heavens. However, if they encountered a carrying Dao realm devil general as soon as they entered the second layer of hell and lost more than half of their millions of people, then this trip would be no different from courting death. Their actions would become a laughing stock and the devil clan would take delight in talking about it. No one wanted this kind of result to happen. Death wasn't scary. What was scary was dying here without being able to reap any rewards. Making a meaningless sacrifice was the most lamentable thing. I hope it is, as the Yuqing Divine Emperor said. The best result is that we kill our way to the devil ancestor's location. If that's the case, then even if this old man dies, I will definitely be able to rest in peace. An old-seated Oblivion realm expert sighed softly and said, "This was everyone's wish. This was the goal they wanted to achieve on this trip. Moreover, if they could really kill their way to the devil ancestor and face him head-on, then they wouldn't need to do anything." At that time, Lu Xiaoyu, who came from the 3,000 Great Thousand Worlds and possessed the carrying Dao realm, would definitely appear and face the devil ancestor on their behalf. This terrifying existence had his own plans and arrangements. When everyone entered the 18 layers of hell, he also went to make some arrangements. This was something everyone knew. We don't have to worry about this. Let's just continue to push forward. No matter what the situation is, we are powerless to change anything. Looking at the expressions on the faces of the seated Oblivion Realm experts, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but comfort them. For them, an army of millions could do nothing against a carrying Dao Realm expert. They could only wait to be slaughtered, unless his father, Lu Xiaoyu, personally came. In other words, the Devil General was still in a deep sleep and was suppressed by a powerful seal. They couldn't rush in and kill him. Therefore, the only thing they could do now was to continue to push forward into the third layer of hell. Chapter 2905. After Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the meditative forgetfulness experts stopped talking. Instead of walking through this journey with a heavy heart, it was better to open up and give the demon race a heavy blow. Let's go. Let's find the entrance to the third layer of hell. One of the powerhouses regained his composure and let out a soft cry as he shot forward. Kill the devil race in the 18 layers of hell. As long as their cultivation is above the true severing realm. Kill one if you see one. Kill two if you see two. Another expert shouted. His killing intent was so cold that it sent chills down everyone's spine. The millions of Immortal Realm experts did not sense the existence of the heartbeat in the dark. Naturally, they did not have the worries of the meditative forgetfulness experts. The Dao-carrying expert who might be a devil general did not give them any pressure. They could not hide the enthusiasm in their hearts as they continued to kill. Everyone continued to push forward, crushing everything in their way as they advanced deeper into the second layer of hell. The meditative forgetfulness experts did not pour cold water on them and told them what they had sensed. Just like the first layer of hell, there was probably a broken seal in the first layer of hell that could lead to the third layer of hell. The most important thing now was to find that seal and enter it. Then, they would advance to the third layer of hell. Rumble. In the second layer of hell, the fierce killing continued. All the devil race experts who were in the path of the 33 heavens experts were wiped out. Not a single one of them survived. The devil race fled in all directions, but no matter how fast they were, they could not outrun the pursuit of the millions of experts. Everyone carried out a fierce slaughter as they continued to move forward. After an unknown period of time, many of them had ended the lives of many devil race experts. The aura they exuded was earth-shattering, and the killing intent soared into the sky. Du Xiaofu was the same. Every time he attacked, he would reap a large number of lives. His essence, qi, and spirit condensed into a special charm, giving him an awe-inspiring aura. The entrance to the third layer of hell is not far ahead, Du Xiaofu said with a burning gaze as he traversed the void. The power of his soul spread out, and he could sense a familiar aura ahead. It was the aura of hellfire that he had seen at the entrance to the second level. This aura might be the entrance to the third floor. Let's go. Beside him, Lu Jingyuan waved his sleeve and instantly left with a large group of people. After sweeping through the second layer of hell, by the time they arrived here, there were already very few devils. Hellfire is really good stuff, but this time, I'm afraid I won't be able to gain much from it. Du Xiaofu was not slow at all. He quickly caught up with the group in front of him. He thought to himself as he looked at the sea of flames. After the refinement last time, his body and soul had been condensed to the limit, reaching the apex of what he could achieve at his level. If he continued to temper himself in there, it would be very difficult for him to obtain any more benefits. This time, let's have a try. My cultivation base has been stuck at 9th sky of Immortal Realm for many years, but I'm not willing to give up. Even if I can't break through the meditative realm, at least I'll be satisfied with one more step. Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, and Long San couldn't help but look at the terrifying flames ahead of them. Their eyes couldn't hide their bright light. They had been at 9th sky of Immortal Realm for many years. However, after so many years, they had tried to find a chance to enter the meditative realm, but they couldn't succeed. Just like Yu Taiyan, who had created the Yuqing Divine Kingdom, He had resolutely given up the God King position after encountering the bottleneck that he couldn't break through. He wanted to find a chance to break through. This chance didn't have to be a blessed land or a place left by an expert. It also didn't have to be a divine object. Perhaps this fortuitous encounter was just a moment when he was wandering the world, when his heart suddenly throbbed, and he was suddenly enlightened. Thus, the experts at Ninth Sky of Immortal Realm like Chu Daoju, Lingfeng, and Long San didn't expect to break through a big realm in the Hellflame. They didn't expect to reach the meditative realm that only a few people in this world could reach. They just wanted to increase their cultivation base, which had been stagnant for so many years. It was enough to make them excited. Ha ha ha. I hope we can get something this time. Xiaofu is smart. He can think of this method. Using the hell flame to refine the body, it's not a bad idea. Chu Daoju and the other two laughed. They stormed out of the crowd and jumped into the hell flame. Right after that, they withdrew the energy from their bodies and started to use the fierce flame to refine their bodies and primordial spirits. Seeing their actions, the other high-level immortal realm experts in the 33 heavens couldn't help but follow them. Shortly after, the hell flame covered more than 1,000 people at the same time. If it weren't for some meditative forgetfulness experts stopping them, there would probably be even more people who wanted to give it a try. We have to take care of them. We can't let anything unexpected happen. A meditative realm elder with white hair and a beard said as such. Although these high-level immortal realm experts had good cultivation bases, they were still much weaker than Du Xiaofu. They couldn't resist the hell flame with their own strength. They still needed the help of the meditative realm experts, just like little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao. Otherwise, if they were careless, they would be swallowed by the hell flame and turned into ashes. It's really hard to use it again after refining it once. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing also jumped into the hell flame. However, the three of them could feel that the hell flame still burned them. It was still unbearably hot, but it wasn't like before when it could refine their bodies and primordial spirits. Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao both felt disappointed when they sensed the situation. Under Lu Jingyun's protection, they returned rather reluctantly in the end, entering the protection cast down by the experts of the Oblivion Realm. Dad, do you still want to continue refining? Seeing that Du Xiaofu had no intention of returning, little Xingxing couldn't help but raise her eyebrows and ask him. I want to try again. Du Xiaofu didn't look at her and only replied. He had some new ideas. Perhaps it would be hard for him to improve his body and primordial spirit, but perhaps he could continue to try in other areas. The hell flame was a rare item. Du Xiaofu didn't want to waste time. After all, it would take a long time to reach the third layer. You still want to try? Du Xiaoyao, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the rest were all surprised as well. It was very clear that Du Xiaofu would not have much of an effect if he continued to stay in the infernal realm. Rather than enduring the immense pain, he might as well properly adjust his breathing and prepare to enter the next level of the infernal realm. I wonder if this will work. Du Xiaofu ignored everyone's gazes and only focused slightly. Without thinking, he removed all the protection around his body and allowed the boundless heat to engulf him. It was as if he was about to melt. This time, because his body and primordial spirit had both evolved to a terrifying level, it was much easier for him to endure compared to the first time. Du Xiaofu tried to move all the heat in his body towards his lower abdomen. At his lower abdomen, there was a ball of unimaginably vigorous energy. It was the primal chaos origin that Heavenly Lord Absolute had left behind. He had an even bolder idea. He wanted to use the hell flame to roast the primal chaos origin so that he could continue refining it. I hope it will work. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. His entire body quickly turned scarlet red, like a piece of cooked iron. Streams of hot air began to flow within his body. He directed all of them towards the primal chaos source. Back in the divine battle world, Du Xiaofu had spent hundreds of years in the space left behind by Heavenly Lord Absolute. He had only refined a small part of the primal chaos origin, but his cultivation had directly increased by a level. Heavenly Lord Absolute had once said that Du Xiaofu could rely on the primal chaos origin that he had left behind. As long as he finished refining it, he would be able to easily step into the realm of Tao and become the strongest existence in the world. Du Xiaofu had such conditions. He had transcended the truth-severing realm with the 4 primordial laws and achieved the virtual path realm. With the help of the primal chaos origin, this process was naturally much easier than normal cultivation. However, the primal chaos origin was an extremely rare and overbearing object. How could it be easy to refine it? It was also because of this that Du Xiaofu had only managed to refine a small part of it until now. He hoped that he could refine more of it through the hellfire and raise his strength to another level. Within the 18 levels of hell, there were still huge tests waiting for him. The first and second levels that he had just passed were just simple appetizers. The challenges that came after would definitely exceed his imagination. Martial Uncle Du, this is Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the other meditative experts all looked at Du Xiaofu with puzzlement in their eyes. They were unable to pry into the existence of the primal chaos origin, nor did they know what that fellow was trying to do by continuing to soak in the boiling flames. Under such circumstances, time passed slowly. Chu Daoju, Long San, Ling Feng, and the other immortal realm experts were in the same situation as Du Xiaoyao and Little Xingxing previously. They all needed experts to protect them, control the temperature of the fire, and carry out the calcining and tempering. Everyone could clearly feel that the aura of these thousands of people were changing. It became increasingly vast and deep, with a special charm that it had never had before. One could imagine that once they walked out of the flames, their strength would definitely increase. The Yuqing Divine Emperor's condition is so strange. There are clearly no changes to his body, but why does he give off an unfathomable feeling? When everyone looked at Du Xiaofu, some meditative experts couldn't help but frown and mumble. Du Xiaofu's body sank along with them. As he passed through the hellfire, his entire body was completely red. His current condition was very strange. It wasn't like when he was at the entrance of the second level, where he revealed a fierce aura. At this moment, the flames burning Du Xiaofu's body didn't seem to hurt or itch at all. It was as if they were silently absorbed by him. This puzzled everyone. Logically speaking, after Du Xiaofu removed all of his defenses, he shouldn't be able to resist all of them. At the very least, there should be some movement. However, this wasn't the case. His entire body was like a crimson-red fossil. He didn't move at all. The endless flames burning his body didn't cause any more changes. I keep having the feeling that something incredible is happening to him, Lu Jingyun said softly. This time, no one replied. Many experts fell silent. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Du Xiaofu's body. They wanted to see what would happen to him in the end. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was in an indescribable state. He didn't care about what was happening outside his body. He only focused on controlling the path of the flames outside his body. Enveloped by the scorching aura, the chaos origin began to show signs of melting. Under normal circumstances, the origin of chaos was like a hard rock that couldn't be shaken at all. But at this moment, under the terrifying burning of the hellfire, it was like a piece of wax. It began to shine and was then absorbed by Du Xiaofu's body. The terrifying origin of chaos rampaged through Du Xiaofu's body, constantly nourishing his body and primordial spirit. After experiencing a metamorphosis, Du Xiaofu had already reached the pinnacle of his cultivation. It was equivalent to having a solid foundation. After receiving the nourishment this time, his cultivation began to faintly rise. This origin of chaos is really extraordinary. Even the hellfire can only burn a trace of its power. If I want to absorb and refine it normally, it's really too difficult. As the changes in his body occurred, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of this. When he first obtained the origin of chaos, his body received a huge amount of energy. At the same time, the secret connection between him and Xin Wu world became deeper. This caused his own cultivation to rise, so he was able to refine more of the origin of chaos power. In the process, he himself benefited greatly, and the benefits were astonishing. However, after that time, the origin of chaos seemed to have fallen into silence, and it was difficult for it to move again. Du Xiaofu wanted to shake it and use its power for his own use, and the best way to do that was to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. But after entering the second level of the Void Dao realm, it was extremely difficult to take another step forward. Condensing the Tao, transforming the Tao, carrying the Tao with one's body. He was now at the transforming the Tao, and if he took another step forward, he would be carrying the Tao with his body. That was the same cultivation level as senior brother Lu Xiaoyu. Du Xiaofu wasn't naive enough to think that he didn't need to put in any effort to achieve the Tao-carrying body. Therefore, he worked hard to use the power of the hellfire to temper his body. He also wanted to burn the origin of chaos so that he could become a little stronger. A little stronger. Even if it was just a little, it was still a foundation. Every bit of accumulation was preparation for future breakthroughs. As long as he continued to work hard and persevere, Du Xiaofu believed that breaking through to the Tao-carrying body wouldn't be difficult. If he wanted to defeat Jiangxin and protect the people he wanted to protect, he had to work hard bit by bit and become stronger. I seem to feel that Senior Master Du's strength has faintly increased again. Around him, Lu Jingyun suddenly raised his eyebrows and said softly, "I feel it too. Senior Master Du is too awesome. He can actually cultivate peacefully under the cover of the hellfire." Long Ke also exclaimed and sighed with emotion. At this time, the other experts also felt a considerable amount of shock. Du Xiaofu's current transformation was different from tempering his physical body and primordial spirit. The previous tempering was to transform his physical body and primordial spirit. But now, his cultivation was faintly increasing, and this had a different meaning. This kid is one of a kind in this world. I really don't know how he reached this step today. An old man smiled bitterly and said with incomparable emotion, "That's right. Otherwise, why would there be such a person in the Void Tao realm in the entire 33 heavens?" Another person spoke up with a bitter smile on his face. "Just based on this point, I think we should calm down. No matter what happens to that guy, no matter how shocking it is, it's still something that can be understood." Suddenly, an expert pondered for a moment and said such words. When the others heard this, they all nodded in agreement. Du Xiaofu had already refreshed the world's understanding time and time again. He had only cultivated for 1,000 years to the Void Tao realm. Just this gimmick alone was enough to scare people. If it was in the past, who in the 33 heavens would dare to believe that someone could do this? But Du Xiaofu had done it, shocking the entire world. And after that, no matter what kind of shocking things happened to him, it was easier for people to accept. In the end, there was only one reason. Who told this brat to be the greatest freak in the entire 33 heavens since ancient times? Everyone was looking forward to the day when this weirdo would fully bloom and display the most dazzling brilliance in the 33 heavens, illuminating the world and surpassing all living beings. Is it Empyrean Absolute's primal chaos source? Among the crowd, Lu Jingyun suddenly raised his eyebrows and muttered to himself in a voice that only he could hear. As the strongest person present, his perception was sharper than anyone else's. Even the slightest change in Du Xiaofu's body could not escape his senses. Only that ball of primal chaos source was not within this range. Therefore, Lu Jingyun had some faint guesses in his heart. He roughly guessed why Du Xiaofu would have such a subtle change. Chapter 2906. Time passed silently. Many high-level Immortal Realm experts were immersed in the hellfire, being burned by the terrifying scarlet flames. With the help of the meditative Oblivion Realm experts, these thousands of people did not have to worry about any problems. However, their strength was limited after all. After enduring for a period of time, they left on their own and returned to the protection of the experts, unable to continue tempering themselves. However, after going through such an experience, these people's cultivation had improved greatly. Everyone's aura was much more condensed, looking even more profound, like an unfathomable abyss. Only Du Xiaofu remained in that strange state, causing many experts to feel astonished. Finally, just as they were about to enter the third layer of hell, Du Xiaofu woke up. When he looked at the experts, they all felt a vigorous Taoist rhyme flowing out from his eyes, causing the surrounding space to change strangely. This kind of natural power that flowed out was deep and vast, unintentionally causing a great impact. Junior Master Du's cultivation has improved again. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the rest of the meditative oblivion realm experts looked at each other, seeing the shock in each other's eyes. They were all experts, so naturally, they could clearly feel the aura emanating from Du Xiaofu's body. It was so much stronger than before, almost 20% stronger. This was too terrifying, unimaginable. Just cultivating in the hellfire once, and there was such a huge improvement. It was simply too frightening. I feel that if this guy's strength improves by a few more percent, I'm afraid this old man won't be his opponent. An old man in the first level of meditative oblivion realm suddenly said, shaking his head and sighing bitterly. Du Xiaofu's strength was already close to the first level of meditative oblivion realm. After this improvement, it was natural that he would become even stronger. The 3 levels of the virtual path realm were Dao condensation, Dao derivation, and body Dao. The second level required continuous improvement. At the end, one could compete with the 3rd level of meditative oblivion realm. At that time, Du Xiaofu would be in a similar situation as Lu Jingyun and the others. After that, he would be able to surpass Lu Jingyun and the others. Then, he would be able to take the final step and achieve a true body of Dao. He would be able to walk his own path and break free from the shackles of heaven and earth. To him, this process was much easier than the 3rd level of meditative realm. The Void Dao realm seemed to be the stepping stone to the realm of Dao bearers. All the Dao bearers who had existed since the beginning of the world had entered this realm. All the worlds were created from the primal chaos. They carried the Dao with their bodies, comprehended the primal chaos energy, and stood above everything else. Have we arrived at the 3rd layer of hell? After Du Xiaofu woke up, he didn't care about the surprised gazes of the crowd and simply said this. He cast his gaze towards his feet and spread out the power of his soul. He sensed that the exit of the hellfire space was not far away. We'll be able to leave soon. The 3rd layer of hell, we're here. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Lu Jingyun and the others gathered their thoughts. Their eyes flashed as they began to brew a terrifying killing intent. Once they arrived at the 3rd layer of hell, a new massacre was about to unfold. Facing the demons, they would not show any mercy. They would only kill until their hands went limp. Let's go. With Du Xiaofu's shout, millions of powerhouses moved out. Their voices shook the void as they rushed into the 3rd layer of hell. The scene that followed was just like the previous 2 layers. It was a one-sided slaughter. In the 3rd layer of hell, a large number of high-level immortal realm demons finally appeared. There were no less than tens of thousands of them in the immortal realm. But compared to the powerhouses from the 33 heavens, these numbers were not enough. A terrifying slaughter unfolded. Many demons were killed until they were terrified and fled for their lives. However, how could they escape the slaughter? Several hundred meditative boundary powerhouses attacked, easily suppressing the immortal realm powerhouses and killing them. A terrifying wind and rain of blood scattered in all directions, filling every corner of the 3rd layer of hell. Demon blood flowed all over the ground. Broken limbs and broken bones of the demons shot out, but even more were annihilated into nothingness. Kill. The powerhouses from the 33 heavens were like gods of death descending. Their methods were no less bloody than the demons. They knew that every demon that was killed would be one less demon. In the future, when they attacked the 33 heavens, the damage would be reduced. In such a situation, no one would hold back. The best way to deal with the demons was to kill. Kill to stop killing. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In the entire space, scarlet red filled the skies. The mountains shook, the earth shook, the void exploded, the universe turned upside down, and the heavens shook. The sounds of roars and slaughter rose and fell one after another, and they interweaved into a pleasing movement that played the song of death loudly, causing the hearts of all to shake. Du Xiaofu and the other powerhouses pushed forward, directly killing their way to the entrance of the 4th layer of hell. At this time, in the 3rd layer of hell, the top powerhouses of the demons had all been killed or injured. Not a single immortal realm demon was left. As for the majority of the true severing realm demon powerhouses, more than half of them had died. Only a few managed to escape with their lives. And this was because Du Xiaofu and the others were not willing to chase after them. They only wanted to go all out and break through a few more layers before the news of them entering the 18 layers of hell spread. If they could kill their way to the demon ancestor, that would be the best result. At the entrance to the 4th layer, there was also a broken seal. Hellfire burned fiercely. This time, Du Xiaofu still grasped the opportunity. He let the terrifying flames wrap around his body and then controlled them, turning them to his lower abdomen and roasting the chaos source in his body. Hellfire was the most powerful flame in the world. It was the seal that the great god Pango had set up to seal the demon ancestor's primordial spirit. Although the seal had been broken, it still retained a great deal of power. The power of the primal chaos source could also be incinerated and absorbed by Du Xiaofu. However, this was still a broken seal. Almost all of its power was lost. As a result, the chaos source only flowed out some chaos chi. There was almost no visible change in its size. However, in this process, Du Xiaofu had obtained incomparably huge benefits. The tempering effect of the hellfire is too good. This time, we have to seize the opportunity. Many of the other experts said aloud. Another 1,000 or so creatures stepped into the flames. With the protection of the powerhouses of oblivion, their bodies and primordial spirits were cleansed, and they achieved great progress. Some of the powerhouses who were at a bottleneck directly broke through a level of cultivation, and their strength increased greatly. Everyone passed through the broken seal. It did not take long for them to enter the 4th layer of hell. A new round of slaughter began. It was almost the same as before. The only difference was that there were even more demon powerhouses in the 4th layer. A massive number of powerhouses appeared, and there were even several existences at the meditative realm. However, the more than 200 meditative realm powerhouses of the 33 heavens rushed forwards, instantly suppressing these demons. They swept through everything like a hot knife through butter. Their slaughter shook the heavens and earth as they rapidly advanced, their momentum swift and fierce. Borrowing this momentum, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens broke through several hells. No one could stop them. It was unknown just how many demons died at their hands. The truth-severing boundary, the immortal boundary, the meditative realm, all added together were innumerable. And at every barrier between the two hells, there would be powerhouses tempering themselves, increasing their strength. Some powerhouses of the 33 heavens also fell, but overall, the number wasn't great. Everyone was well aware that if they did not slaughter their way into the 18 hells, the number of powerhouses they would lose in the future would be countless times greater than what they had lost today. Every demon that died had the potential to take away the life of the 33 heavens. Therefore, this loss was really insignificant. In the 5th layer of hell, the 7th layer of hell, the 8th layer of hell, the 9th layer of hell, and in this 10th layer of hell, I can sense the aura of life. I wonder what kind of existence it is. Everyone borrowed the incomparably ferocious momentum and killed their way through the 10th layer of hell. At this time, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Du Xiaofu, and the rest of the meditative realm powerhouses' hearts were filled with even more doubts. In the 5th layer, 7th layer, 8th layer, 9th layer, and 10th layer of hell, they all seemed to sense the existence of life in the dark. The faint sound of heartbeats could be heard, causing everyone's hearts to sink. This is definitely not an illusion. There must be a sleeping powerhouse in the dark. Long Ke was also very worried. His handsome brows were tightly knitted together. Along the way, they had encountered many similar situations. It couldn't be an accident or an illusion. The senses of a group of meditative realm powerhouses were definitely real, and this kind of situation where they couldn't be sure of it made everyone feel even more uneasy. In the 1st layer, 3rd layer, 4th layer, and 6th layer of hell, there wasn't such a feeling. However, there might be a sleeping powerhouse in there as well. It's just that they didn't show any signs of it. Lu Cheng stepped forward and said so. This speculation wasn't without reason. In the majority of the layers, such a situation had occurred. Only in the 4th layer of hell, there was no feeling. Perhaps it was just that they hadn't discovered it yet. It's fine. At this time, Du Xiaofu opened his mouth. He thought for a while and said, "No matter what kind of powerhouse is in the dark, there's one thing we can be sure of right now. These powerhouses can't pose any threat to us. No matter if they're sleeping or still sealed, It's impossible for them to make a move against us. So, we'll continue as usual and continue to charge through the 18 layers of hell. I'd like to see when those terrifying powerhouses of the devil race will appear. Chapter 2907. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, everyone agreed. His words were not without reason. If the person who had been sealed or slumbering in the dark could make a move, he would not sit back and watch them pass through the 10th level of hell. If a Tao attainment powerhouse made a move, the millions of powerhouses in the 33 heavens would be instantly destroyed. Enter the 11th level of hell. After a simple exchange, Du Xiaofu and the others once again embarked on their journey. The entrance to the 11th level of hell was found. Many powerhouses rushed in and began to cross the flames of hell. The flames that filled the sky enveloped Du Xiaofu and the others once again. Everyone had experienced this many times and was no longer as shocked as they were at the beginning. Instead, for many people, this was a huge opportunity. It was a benefit that they could not obtain in the past. However, this time, there were more than 200 meditative powerhouses accompanying them. With their protection, it was naturally easy for everyone to obtain such benefits. There was no need to worry about any danger. Huff, huff, huff. Everyone continued to move forward. Tongues of fire curled up in the sky. No one spoke. Everyone was used to this. Du Xiaofu once again entered the same state as before. He used the blazing flames to burn the chaos source and refine it. Now, that lump of primal chaos source had clearly decreased. His strength had already increased greatly, and his progress was extremely fast. Some of the ordinary meditative powerhouses were no longer his match. Everyone could not help but think in their hearts, if this guy was allowed to continue refining like this, who knew what kind of realm he would reach when he passed through the 18th level of hell? Besides Du Xiaofu, the other immortal powerhouses who had not been refined in the chaos source would naturally not let go of such an opportunity. Time passed silently. In everyone's opinion, perhaps everything would be the same as before. No accidents would happen until they entered the 11th level of hell. However, at a certain moment, a terrifying tremor suddenly came from the void. Rumble. This trembling sound was like the collapse of 10,000 mountains and the roar of 1,000 waves. It caused the flame space where the powerhouses of the 33 heavens were located to tremble in an extremely terrifying manner. The void directly collapsed and disintegrated, turning into a piece of chaos. Not good. Everyone, come back quickly. A meditative Oblivion Realm expert shouted and instantly took action, pulling the experts who were being tempered in the flames back and placing them under the protection of the others. The defense set up by hundreds of meditative forgetfulness powerhouses was also shaking and on the verge of collapse. Fortunately, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others were protecting him with all their might. Only then did he manage to hold on. Boom, boom, boom. This tremor lasted for a very long time. Everyone stood in the void unsteadily, as if they were about to fall. I wonder what happened in the 18 levels of hell that caused such a huge commotion. I'm afraid an unimaginable change has occurred. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. It must be related to the demon race. This commotion came from the depths of the 18 layers of hell. Perhaps it's related to the demon ancestor. Could it be that he has once again recovered to an extremely strong state? The experts of the 33 heavens could not help but begin to discuss. Everyone's hearts were incomparably heavy. For such a huge commotion to occur in the 18 layers of hell, the first thing that came to mind was the demon race. This was their world. The biggest possibility was still the demon ancestor. However, they did not know what kind of existence the demon race had triggered. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying tremor spread in all directions, causing everyone's eardrums to be muddled. It lasted for a long time. Only until a certain moment did everything calm down. The flame space that everyone was in also returned to its previous state and stopped shaking. Seeing such a scene, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others let out a long sigh of relief. This is definitely not a good sign. As long as it's related to the demon race, we must be careful. Beside Du Xiaofu and the others, Chu Daoju's face was solemn as he said, "It had been many years since the demon ancestor entered the 18 layers of hell. It had also been many years since they entered this place. Today, they had already arrived at the 11th layer of hell, but they had yet to encounter any fierce resistance from the demon race. This kind of performance did not match the demon race's ferocious momentum at all. From this, it could be inferred that the demon race's true strength had already retreated to the depths of the 18 layers of hell. The further down the experts of the 33 heavens went, the greater the resistance they would face. And now that such a terrifying commotion had occurred, no one knew what exactly caused it. They were afraid that it was a change caused by a certain expert of the demon race whose strength had greatly increased. And this expert of the demon race was most likely the demon ancestor. Such a deduction could not help but cause everyone's hearts to feel heavy. No matter what happened, we still have to continue. Lu Jingyun thought for a moment and said, "That's right. We'll know in the future. Let's just take one step at a time. This hellfire is a rare good thing. I'd better go in and cultivate for a while." Du Xiaofu nodded, and then rushed out again, entering the hellfire. Seeing this, everyone could only look at each other. The 18 layers of hell had a total of 18 layers of space. Each layer was a major world from the primordial era. After the great god Pangu suppressed the demon ancestor's nascent divinity, all of the layers of space were combined into one by an invisible force, connected by a mysterious force. The heaven-shaking, earth-shaking seal collapsed, causing the deeper one went into the 18 layers of hell, the more terrifying it became. The demon ancestor's nascent divinity had been divided into 18 parts, each of which was suppressed within the 18 layers of hell. When Jiangxin killed the demon god in the divine battle world and obtained a part of the demon ancestor's nascent divinity, he recovered much of his memories from the primordial era and learned of his own origins. And so, after entering the 33 heavens, Jiangxin began making preparations to enter the 18 layers of hell. He attempted to merge all of his nascent divinity, recover his peak strength, and once again lead the countless demon ancestors in conquering the 33 heavens. Many years passed in a hurry. Now, Jiangxin had entered the 16th layer of hell. On this day, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Chu Daoju, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the other powerhouses of the 33 heavens had broken through the 18 layers of hell and were on their way to the 11th layer. When they encountered the terrifying commotion, Jiangxin's figure stood at the entrance to the 17th layer of hell. In front of him was a sea of raging, scarlet flames. Compared to the hellfire Du Xiaofu and the others had encountered, they were tens of thousands of times more powerful. However, at the center of the raging flames was an enormous, pitch-black hole. Dense demonic qi roiled endlessly within. The overwhelming demonic qi continuously corroded the terrifying flames, causing their might to grow weaker and weaker. "Your Excellency, you've already entered the 17th layer of hell. If you succeed in merging 2 more nascent divinities, your Excellency's strength will reach its peak. At that point, the demon race will once again descend upon the 33 heavens and take control of all worlds. Millions upon millions of living beings will prostrate themselves before the might of the demon race." Behind Jiangxin, Dongli Qihuang took half a step forward. He gazed at the incomparably terrifying raging flames in front of him and spoke with a sinister smile. His words carried uncontrollable complacency. It was as if he'd already seen that day arrive. The demon race would slaughter the 33 heavens, causing the countless living beings of Pangu world to tremble in fear. It's not just the 33 heavens. We can't let go of the 3,000 boundless worlds either. That Lu Xiaoyu has repeatedly interfered in the affairs of the demon race. He can't be tolerated. Since he has the guts to participate in the conflict between the demon race and the 33 heavens, then he must be prepared for the demon race to raise the 3,000 boundless worlds to the ground. On the other side, Chun Yin spoke coldly. Ever since the two of them learned of their true identities, that they were the reincarnations of 2 great demon attendants from the primordial era, they couldn't help but begin to look forward to their excellency returning to the peak. So long as the demon ancestor returned, under his leadership, the 33 heavens that had lost the protection of Pangu would be like fish on a chopping block. they'd be at the mercy of the demon race. Presently, there were no more terrifying existences like Pengu and Exalted Celestial in this world. The demon ancestor was the strongest existence. The only thing they had to be wary of was the creator of the 3,000 boundless worlds, a fiend god that had similarly walked out from the primal chaos. However, they weren't particularly worried about this. The demon ancestor had an undying body. If Pengu and Exalted Celestial hadn't joined forces during the primordial era, it would have been impossible for them to suppress him. On the other hand, Exalted Celestial had perished a long time ago, and Pengu had fallen into a deep slumber for countless years. So, who in this world could go against the demon ancestor? Who had the ability to suppress him? Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin didn't doubt that so long as their excellency recovered his full strength, sweeping through the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds would be just around the corner. Lu Xiaoyu had set foot in the 33 heavens many years ago and pursued the demon god. Now, he'd even become enemies with the demon race. The 3,000 boundless worlds behind him had to be destroyed. Reducing them to a demon realm was the best punishment for him. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Lu Xiaoyu isn't a simple person. Don't underestimate him. Hearing Dongli Chihuang and Chun Yan's words, Jiangxin's gaze didn't waver. He simply stared at the raging flames in front of him. He was as tall and handsome as ever. His robes fluttered even though there was no wind, revealing his extreme calmness and aloofness. Although Lu Xiaoyu is valiant, compared to your excellency, he's nothing. Dongli Chihuang's expression twisted as he spoke viciously. Only in front of Jiangxin did he have the confidence to say these words. If he'd faced Lu Xiaoyu directly, he'd never have dared to say such arrogant words. My physical body has been trapped in the divine battle world for many years. Lu Xiaoyu must have sensed everything from the primordial era. I'm certain he's made his own arrangements. He absolutely won't tolerate our demon race making a comeback so easily. Jiangxin's face was expressionless, as if he wasn't moved at all. He continued, but what surprises me is that we've already reached the entrance to the 17th layer of hell, yet he still hasn't made any moves. In that case, even I can't be sure what exactly he's up to. What I fear is that if he does, he'll pose an unimaginable obstacle to our demon race. As he finished speaking, Jiangxin's handsome brows furrowed slightly, as if he were worried. He'd already met Lu Xiaoyu and knew how strong he was. Although he hadn't yet reached the imageless realm, he'd already walked extremely far into the realm of Tao attainment. He was only separated by a thin sheet of paper from the last of the 9 major realms. No one knew whether Lu Xiaoyu would eventually reach the imageless realm. If he did, he'd become a formidable foe. Add to that the fact that he was the creator of the 3,000 universes, and the demon race might very well be suppressed once more. Jiangxin would follow in their footsteps, just like in the primordial era. Today, Jiangxin had already reached the entrance to the 17th layer of hell. All he needed to do was merge with the last 2 strands of his nascent spirit, and he'd quickly return to his peak. However, Lu Xiaoyu hadn't made any moves for so long. This was what worried Jiangxin the most. No matter what, Jiangxin refused to believe that Lu Xiaoyu didn't have any tricks up his sleeve. How could such an expert sit idly by and watch as he recovered and the demon race rose to prominence? The more he didn't make any moves, the more uneasy Jiangxin felt. Your Excellency, there's no need to worry. So long as he merges with the last 2 strands of his nascent spirit, even if Lu Xiaoyu reaches the imageless realm, there's no need to worry. I refuse to believe that he'll be like Pengu and Exalted Celestial and have the courage to fight to the death and perish together with our demon race. After all, he's a Hotian life form, not a primal chaos life form. He attaches great importance to matters of life and death. How could he possibly abandon the boundless prosperity of this world? Besides, how could the imageless realm be so easily attained? Chen Yin suddenly laughed sinisterly, emanating a sinister aura. His deduction wasn't without reason. Since time immemorial, only fiend gods who'd emerged from the primal chaos had been able to reach the imageless realm. Yet Lu Xiaoyu was merely a Hotian life form. There was still a Scientian life form between him and a primal chaos life form. Such a gap was enough to form a natural chasm that blocked his path. It was a crucial factor that prevented him from taking that final step. If it wasn't for the imageless realm, then how could he fight his excellency? Lu Xiaoyu. Oh, Lu Xiaoyu. He isn't a simple figure, but it's good as well. Only with his existence would the demon race have a challenge. Otherwise, even if we annihilate the 33 heavens and take control of all the worlds, what meaning would there be if we had one less opponent to fight for? Jiangchen lowered his eyes slightly and said in a light voice, I think that he'll definitely not be willing to suppress me, nor will he sacrifice himself for the benefit of others like Pangu and Exalted Celestial did, right? As soon as these words were spoken, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin were stunned. My lord, what do you mean? Dongli Qihuang frowned and asked carefully. Chen Yin raised his head and looked at the side of Jiangchen's face, and he wanted to hear Jiangchen's answer. The outcome he wants is probably to directly kill me and put an end to all future troubles. If it's just a simple suppression, then he could have made a move since we met at the first level of hell. Jiangchen explained in this way. When Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin heard this, they fell silent. They had to admit that Lu Xiaoyu was extremely powerful, not to mention the fact that he could directly suppress Jiangchen when they met in the first level of hell. Even now that Jiangchen had fused 16 nascent spirits, it would be difficult for him to defeat Lu Xiaoyu. They both knew that Lu Xiaoyu must have had his own plans all these years. Just as His Excellency had said, Lu Xiaoyu's goal was to truly kill His Excellency and not simply suppress him. Lu Xiaoyu wanted to completely erase His Excellency from this world, pacify the 33 heavens, and prevent the 3,000 boundless worlds from falling into chaos. Du Xiaofu. The key to all of this lies with Du Xiaofu. Chen Yin's gaze suddenly turned gloomy. He couldn't help but grit his teeth and spit out hatefully. That brat should have died long ago, but he's actually still alive today. The words Du Xiaofu caused Dongli Qihuang's expression to turn extremely unsightly. The two of them had formed an irreconcilable enmity with Du Xiaofu since the early days of the divine martial world. After arriving in the 33 heavens, they'd repeatedly tried to kill Du Xiaofu, but to no avail. There was no lack of past grudges between them, but even more so, they wanted to get rid of the demon race. However, the results each time disappointed them greatly. Their hatred for Du Xiaofu only grew deeper and deeper. At first, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin didn't dare publicize this matter because of Du Xiaofu's friendship with Jiangchen. Later, however, they learned that everything they'd done had been tacitly approved by Jiangchen. Du Xiaofu. Jiangchen's expression returned to its usual calm and indifference. He muttered Du Xiaofu's name. Their friendship with this young man had long since faded. Their past camaraderie had vanished like smoke in thin air after that attack. However, Du Xiaofu had grown too quickly. If he was allowed to continue breaking through, he'd become a huge threat to Jiangchen. He's already entered the 18th layer of hell. You two should go stop him. Jiangchen suddenly turned his head and said to Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin, Don't worry, HM? Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin were shocked, and they glanced at each other. They hadn't received any news that Du Xiaofu had entered the 18th layer of hell. Now that Jiangchen mentioned it, how could they not be surprised? This time, the 33 heavens have turned out in full force. Millions of imperishable and over 200 seated forgetful experts. This kind of strength is enough to shake the entire 18th layer of hell. If no Tao realization experts appear, who can stop them? Jiangchen sighed softly, then said, You may go. There's no need to try to kill Du Xiaofu. He's not someone you can kill. Just keep him outside the 17th layer of hell. Once I've merged with all of my nascent divinities, I'll personally suppress Du Xiaofu. After he finished speaking, Jiangchen's figure flickered and gradually blurred. A moment later, he vanished from where he'd been standing, leaving no trace behind. Not far away, where the blazing seal was, demonic chi roiled even more fiercely. Sizzling sounds rang out incessantly. Chapter 2908. After Jiangchen's figure vanished, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin stood on the spot and didn't speak for a long time. They were constantly looking at the blazing flames before them, and their eyes didn't even move. After a long time, they saw a wisp of a fierce expression appear on Dongli Qihuang's face. Du Xiaofu. He gritted his teeth fiercely and said hatefully, "You actually dared to enter the 18th level of hell. You're simply courting death." As soon as Dongli Qihuang finished speaking, an expanse of dense devilish qi that contained boundless blood surged out from his body, and it swiftly swept towards the surroundings. It shook the space here to the point expanse after expanse of chaotic state appeared, and it seemed extremely terrifying. Chen Yin stood at the side with a savage expression as well, and he seemed to be filled with extreme hatred. No matter what, they'd never imagined that Du Xiaofu would actually dare to enter the 18th level of hell and enter the territory of the devil race. In the outside world, there were countless experts protecting him, so they were unable to kill that kid. But in the 18th level of hell, it couldn't be any easier to annihilate him. It isn't just Du Xiaofu, the 33 heavens have set out on a large scale as well. Since they dared to come, then how could our devil race not entertain them properly? Chun Yan's gaze was ghastly, his voice was heavy, and killing intent shot out. Only someone with his cultivation would be able to sense more things and find out that Du Xiaofu had led the experts of the 33 heavens into the 18th level of hell. They really are audacious. They seem to not take our devil race seriously at all. Dongli Qihuang spoke once more with a heavy tone. Is Du Xiaofu really unkillable? I don't believe that our devil race is unable to do anything to him in the 18th level of hell. Chun Yan's expression changed once more as he spoke gloomily. It had been almost 1,000 years since they were chased by Du Xiaofu. Not only had the demon ancestor successfully merged the 16 primordial spirits, the two of them had also recovered their strength and were no longer the same as before. Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin felt that with their current cultivations, it probably wouldn't be too difficult for them to kill Du Xiaofu. Even though that kid's talent was outstanding and it was hard to find a match in the world, his cultivation time was still limited. Relatively speaking, after the two of them had awakened their memories, they had improved at an incomparably fast speed. It was impossible for them to be slower than Du Xiaofu's cultivation. However, Lord Jiangchen had said that there was no need to try and kill Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was a freak. No matter how difficult the situation was, he would always have the help of experts and even counterattack. However, Dongli Qihuang and Chun Yin didn't believe this. They didn't have to kill Du Xiaofu, but at least they had to give it a try. Even if he failed, he would naturally look for Du Xiaofu after he had merged all 18 primordial spirits. Let's go and meet Du Xiaofu. I really want to see how far that brat has come. Dongli Qihuang said coldly. Then he glanced at Chen Yin, charged out, and flashed into the distance. 200+ meditators and millions of immortals. 33 heavens, what a grand display. But I'm afraid the results this time will disappoint all of you, because you'll pay a painful price for your actions. Chen Yin muttered while his figure gradually faded away as he spoke, and then he vanished from this area without a trace. Only his ferocious voice was left behind, and it reverberated through space. If the demon generals take action, they'll definitely make it so that you won't be able to return alive. The 33 heavens hadn't sensed the huge commotion in the 18 layers of hell. Everything proceeded as usual. Countless living beings were filled with anticipation. They were looking forward to the experts who had charged into the 18 layers of hell to finally defeat the ferocious demons and return victorious. What they didn't know was that Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Chu Daoju, Long Ke, and the other experts of the 33 heavens had encountered no small amount of trouble. Of course, there were still experts in this world who could clearly see things that ordinary people couldn't. For example, the master of the 3,000 universes, Lu Xiaoyu, who possessed the realm of Tao. At this very moment, he stood towering in a boundless expanse of starry sky. Around him, numerous stars floated up and down, circling and circling around him. Next to him stood a young man in golden robes. It was Lu Xiaoyu's best friend, Long Xin. The demon has broken through another seal. Once he succeeds, his strength will definitely improve greatly. Boss, are you sure we want to take a gamble and not directly suppress him? If we don't act now, we won't have another chance. Xiaolong frowned deeply as he spoke to the azure-robed man beside him. When Jiangxin broke through the 17th layer of Hell's seal, a mysterious power had been transmitted into this space. It was also from that moment onwards that the countless stars in this star field began to change their orbits. Terrifying energy surged out from them, causing a huge impact. In just a short period of time, countless stars deviated from their original orbits and began to recklessly charge through the vast expanse of space. Xiaolong sensed that it wouldn't be long before a world-destroying storm descended upon this galaxy. When that happened, chaos would break out everywhere. Perhaps the entire universe would be destroyed. If I wanted to suppress the demon ancestor, I would have acted long ago. There was no need to wait until now, said Lu Xiaoyu softly. However, at that time, the 18 layers of Hell's seal were still intact. If I had attacked the demon ancestor there, I would have definitely shaken the seal and caused the demons to rebel prematurely. But now, there's no stopping them. The demon ancestor has broken through the 17th layer of Hell's seal. It'll be very difficult for us to stop the demon's advance. You should know that they don't only have the demon ancestor, they also have a few demon generals who've broken through their seals. His words carried traces of worry, as if they were also filled with worry. The great demon generals are all ruthless characters. In addition, the blood ancestor who fled into hell is a Tao-bearing realm powerhouse. Xiaolong couldn't help but smack his lips. Thinking of how terrifying the demons were, he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. My junior brother's actions have also aroused the demon ancestor's interest. The demons will definitely send a large number of powerhouses to stop them. If the demon generals take action, their fate won't be optimistic. Fortunately, the people of the 3,000 boundless worlds have already arrived and are ready to enter the 18 layers of hell at any time. With the help of so many powerhouses, the millions of beings in the 33 heavens will have a real chance to fight the demons, said Lu Xiaoyu again. As the ruler of the 3,000 boundless worlds, there were many powerhouses who had come to the 33 heavens. Moreover, they had already made preparations and arrangements to directly enter the 18 layers of hell and help Du Xiaofu and the others to break through the 18 layers of hell and resist the demon's next move. Since that's the case, we don't need to wait any longer. Let's start making arrangements. However, once these methods are used, the 18 layers of hell will become a land of death. One can only enter but not leave. If the people inside encounter great trouble, even their path of retreat will be lost. Xiaolong lowered his head slightly and said worriedly. No one was clearer than him about the arrangements Lu Xiaoyu had made. He knew very well that once the boss used a great deal of power, all the demons would be trapped in the 18 layers of hell, making it impossible for them to take a single step into the 33 heavens. In this way, no matter how fierce and terrifying the demons were, if they wanted to slaughter the outside world on a large scale, they would have to pay a great price to break through the boss's arrangements. However, doing this also had a corresponding disadvantage. That was, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens in the 18 layers of hell would have no way of retreat. Once they encountered danger, they would not be able to return to the outside world. And this was what Xiaolong was most worried about. I've already made countless deductions. Our chances of winning are still relatively high. However, all of this will depend on whether or not my junior brother can live up to our expectations. Lu Xiaoyu was silent for a moment and then said, the plan has already begun. There is no need to rashly stop. The collapse of the 18 layers of hell is inevitable, and no one can stop it. In fact, the people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds combined are enough to resist the demons. The only thing we need to worry about is the demon ancestor. He is our greatest enemy. Xiaolong heard this and nodded slightly, not continuing to speak. Let's begin. Lu Xiaoyu did not speak anymore, but his face became serious as he earnestly said. Then, he stood there. His body clearly did not change, but inexplicably, he seemed to have become even taller and more majestic. Huff, huff. His blue robes suddenly straightened and fluttered in the wind. A special rhythm floated around his body, resonating with the surrounding void. It was incomparably wonderful. At this moment, a different kind of charm of the great Tao was born in this starry sky. It seemed somewhat incompatible with all existence, but it seemed to be able to perfectly combine together. This was a very contradictory feeling, but it was truly happening. Seeing Lu Xiaoyu move, Xiaolong silently retreated to the distance and quietly watched, not daring to disturb him in the slightest. Whoosh! Lu Xiaoyu stretched out an arm and drew a line in the void. Tens of thousands of brilliant rays of light shot out from his palm and fingers. These rays of light were like waterfalls, forming a belt of light. After flying into the void, they emitted a mysterious power. There were patterns of the great Tao circulating, there was chaos being born, and there were all kinds of things being transformed. This kind of power entered the surrounding starry sky and connected with countless stars. In the next moment, a terrifying scene occurred. The stars that were originally deviating from their trajectories were actually beginning to be controlled by Lu Xiaoyu. Rumble, countless stars, drawing countless trajectories, like beads being pulled by strings, were all under Lu Xiaoyu's control, emitting a loud roar. Swoosh! At this time, Lu Xiaoyu's other hand stretched out, and another ray of light shot out. The same scene occurred in the other half of the starry sky. His 10 fingers moved continuously, as if he was playing the strings of a zither. The stars began to revolve on completely new trajectories, walking on completely different trajectories from before. Along with the occurrence of such a situation, a strand of extremely terrifying suppressive force suddenly arose throughout the entire starry sky. Long Xian, who stood some distance away from Lu Xiaoyu, felt his body tighten under this suppressive force, and an indescribable feeling of discomfort welled up within him. Using the seal set by Pangu all those years ago to create a completely new formation, only Boss would dare to do something like this. Xiaolong thought to himself as he looked at the green-robed figure with shining eyes. This was truly a crazy move. The seal set by Pangu was capable of suppressing even the demon ancestor's primordial spirit. His boss, on the other hand, was taking advantage of the fact that Jiangchen had destroyed the seal to create a new formation, once again sealing the 18 layers of hell. However, the changes in the trajectories of the stars were only the beginning. What he had to do next, the price he had to pay would be incomparably great. While Xiaolong pondered, Lu Xiaoyu's actions didn't stop. He attacked again and again, and the chaotic starry sky quickly fell under his control. Rumble. The giant stars hummed as they moved, carrying with them unparalleled power as they streaked across the starry sky in mysterious trajectories. And between these different trajectories, there was a secret connection. As time passed, Xiaolong could clearly feel the suppressive force on his body growing stronger and stronger. I'm afraid it won't be long before my cultivation is severed, Xiaolong muttered to himself, deeply shaken. His cultivation was being severed and suppressed. This situation was no different from the divine battle world he'd visited all those years ago. However, it wouldn't be easy for Boss to achieve the same effect as in the divine battle world. The suppressive force of this starry sky has greatly increased. I'm afraid the restrictions on Earth will gradually be removed. Xiaolong suddenly looked in a certain direction. His gaze pierced through the boundless space, and he saw a light blue folded world. That was his senior apprentice brother Lu Xiaoyu's first home, the world called Earth. To the humans of that world, the starry sky was a boundless existence. It was impossible to see the end of it. However, in the eyes of a powerhouse like Xiaolong, although the starry sky was incomparably vast, there was an end to it. The existence of Earth was the center of this space. No matter what kind of starry sky they formed, or what kind of trajectories they evolved into, fundamentally speaking, they all revolved around Earth. Earth was the foundation of all existence, the center of all the stars. While Boss was mobilizing the power of the surrounding starry sky, Earth was also undergoing some subtle changes. It was as if some mysterious power was gradually awakening in the not-so-vast land and sea. Mortals couldn't sense it, but Xiaolong could clearly sense that some spiritual energy was being released from Earth. Although it wasn't particularly dense, it was something that had never happened before. Chapter 2909. The world of Earth produced traces of brand new spiritual energy which made Xiaolong's heart throb. He knew a lot about that world. It was a special existence, different from all the other worlds. In this vast universe, countless stars revolved around it as the center, and the world of Earth was constantly sending tyrannical energy into the 18 levels of hell through the trajectory of the Great Array formed by billions of stars. In other words, the existence of the world of Earth was the core that suppressed the 18 levels of hell. At this moment, as Lu Xiaoyu set up the array in the starry sky, the stars began to revolve in a brand new orbit. Star regions were being transformed by him, changing all the rules and order. As for the world of Earth, it was as if it was isolated outside. Its invisible connection with the boundless starry sky was directly cut off. In other words, the center of the entire starry sky had become Lu Xiaoyu himself. Boundless energy surged in his body, gushing out mightily like surging and roaring rivers, rushing in all directions into the boundless starry sky. As the stars revolved, this energy also followed a special path and entered another area, where the 18 levels of hell were located. This kind of consumption is too great for boss. It's time to take out that thing. Xiaolong watched from afar and saw Lu Xiaoyu's aura fluctuating, causing a huge roar. The energy within his body was like a flood that had broken through a dam, and it surged and whistled through the surroundings. The surrounding space transformed into expanses of chaos, causing him to seem like a god of chaos, and it was extremely terrifying. However, Xiaolong knew that although Boss looked domineering and dignified, in reality, the energy in his body was being drained at a terrifying rate. This was the array set up by the great god Pangu in ancient times. It was extraordinary. If Boss wanted to remake this starry sky and replace the role of the world of Earth to suppress the 18 levels of hell, he would naturally have to pay a huge price. However, they had already expected all of this and were prepared for it. As long as all the stars entered their proper orbits, Boss would be able to escape unscathed if he took out that thing again. At that time, the entire 18 levels of hell would become an incomparably huge cage, trapping countless demons. They could only enter, but not leave. Xiaolong didn't disturb Lu Xiaoyu, only watching quietly from afar. Time passed slowly, and he knew that this arrangement would take a lot of time to complete. Within the 18 levels of hell, Du Xiaofu and the others had already entered the 11th level. In the first 10 levels, the number of demon race powerhouses they encountered increased with every level they advanced. This time, they had encountered a huge problem. Dozens of seated experts, along with hundreds of thousands of immortal realms, appeared. This was not a simple matter of the 33 Heavens group. But this was not the most terrifying thing. What made Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others feel the most serious was that they sensed the aura of the blood ancestor. After the old bird escaped from Lu Xiaoyu's hands, it directly rushed into the 18 layers of hell. They'd thought that it was very likely that they would encounter him in one of the levels of hell, but they really hadn't expected it to be so soon. I wonder how the blood ancestor is right now. If he attacks, we'll be in a very bad situation. Du Xiaofu looked around and said. They had sensed Blood Lord Blood's aura, but that old ghost hadn't appeared yet. It was likely that he had been seriously injured by Lu Xiaoyu and was still recuperating. Even so, an injured Blood Lord Blood was still terrifying enough to pose a fatal threat to millions of people. That mixed old bird is seriously injured. Even if he comes out, we may still be able to put up a fight, Lu Jingyun said. At the same time, his whole body exuded a strong fighting spirit. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked at his senior brother's eldest son, slightly surprised. He knew that although Lu Jingyun was very domineering, he wasn't an arrogant person. Since he could say such words, it meant that he had a certain degree of confidence. He wasn't just talking nonsense. Perhaps, if a group of third-stage meditative realm cultivators joined forces, they might really be able to put up a fight against the injured Bloodlord. As for Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others, they had already walked to the ranks of the strongest in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. In the entire world, the number of people who could be stronger than them could be counted with one's fingers. Only a few people from their father's generation could do so. Therefore, if Bloodlord Blood appeared now, It would be a good opportunity for many young cultivators to accept the challenge and train themselves. If they could win in the end, it would bring them endless benefits. Let's wait until Blood appears. For now, let's flatten the 11th level of Hell. Long K's eyes flashed. His tall and straight figure rushed out and killed his way to the side of a third-stage meditative realm cultivator. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar burst out from Long K's mouth. It reverberated in the void, causing the space to shake violently as if it was about to collapse. As his roar fell, the power of the great Tao circulated. It was so powerful that it caused the heavens to collapse and the earth to sink. No one knew how many weak demons were blasted into a bloody mist by this roar. Countless people quickly fled as if they were avoiding snakes and scorpions. They wanted to get away from Long K. Kill. Opposite Long K, the third-stage meditative realm cultivator let out a fierce roar that shook the void. The two of them quickly engaged in a fierce battle. Waves of tyrannical and boundless energy descended like a tsunami, destroying the heavens and the earth. Dozens of meditative realm cultivators. None of them can be left alive. Du Xiaofu's eyes shot out two rays of intense light that swept across the surroundings. He held the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand and attacked. Every time he swung the broadsword in his hand, an incomparably terrifying abyss crack appeared. Chaotic energy filled the air. Kill. Countless cultivators let out terrifying roars that tore the heavens and split the earth, piercing through the universe. The great battle began once again. Every living being threw themselves into the battle, their killing intent shaking the world. This time, the resistance they encountered was far more intense than before. Fortunately, the demon race didn't have the advantage in numbers. Thus, the battle was still in a one-sided state. The life forms of the 33 heavens were completely suppressing the demons. However, many people gradually felt more and more emotions in their hearts. They knew that the deeper they went into the 18th level of Hell, the more terrifying the resistance they would encounter. Perhaps if they went down 1 or 2 levels, the millions of people in the 33 heavens would become exhausted. At that time, it would be the most dangerous situation. The slaughter in the 11th level of Hell continued. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Chu Daoju, and the others were constantly pushing deeper into the 11th level of Hell as they fought. They wanted to find the entrance to the 12th level of Hell, and in the depths of the 18th level of Hell, the demons began to gather in large numbers. Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin led many seated forgetfulness and immortal realm experts of the demon race from the 16th level of Hell. They were rushing towards the place where Du Xiaofu and the others were. In addition to these demons, several demon generals were also awakened by the 2 great demon attendants. They were also following along. Du Xiaofu, this time you will die without a doubt. As they passed through Hell, Dongli Qihuang's eyes emitted an ominous glint as he gritted his teeth and said hatefully. It would not be long before they would encounter the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. At that time, Du Xiaofu and the others would pay with their lives for everything they had done. The only thing they needed to worry about was that the master of the 3,000 great worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, would suddenly appear. Otherwise, Du Xiaofu would not have any chance of escaping. Perhaps if Dongli Qihuang knew that Lu Xiaoyu was currently fiddling with the seal outside the 18th level of Hell and wouldn't be able to enter in a short amount of time, he might be even more confident in killing Du Xiaofu. A massacre was taking place in the 11th level of Hell. Countless demons were on the move in the 16th level of Hell. At the same time, something else was happening at the entrance to the 17th level of Hell. Surrounded by boundless hellfire, Jiangchen had transformed into his true form. He was no longer in human form. His current form was vastly different from the golden fur Ho of the past. He only retained his basic form. The scarlet fur on its body appeared to have been dyed by fresh blood, as it emitted an intense scarlet aura. It appeared as though numerous tiny snakes were dancing in the air. A powerful fishy stench was emitted from its ugly and ferocious mouth and teeth, causing one to feel nauseous upon smelling it. Jiangchen's entire body radiated an unconcealable aura of slaughter. Even if one approached him, their hearts would tremble for no reason. He lowered his head slightly and looked down. Red light shot out of his eyes and pierced through the void. Everywhere he looked, there was a sea of flames. It was so terrifying that it seemed capable of incinerating everything. "I've finally found the 17th nascent divinity." Jiangchen's voice rumbled from his throat. His hairy hands abruptly opened and pulled at the air. Crackle. After the sound of silk being torn apart, the terrifying flame was like a curtain being torn apart, revealing a strange scene. It looked like a large lake that quietly appeared there, and the lake water was in a state of chaos. Jiangchen stepped through the void, his feet crossing the void. In an instant, he arrived in the air above the lake. The surface of the lake was calm, like the surface of a mirror, reflecting his burly and terrifying figure. "It's time to fuse with the 17th nascent divinity. Once I succeed, no one in the 33 heavens or the 3,000 realms will be able to do anything to me." As these sinister words left his mouth, Jiangchen's figure descended into the lake. Strangely, when he touched the water, not even the slightest ripple appeared. It didn't even sway. Not even a ripple could be seen. Crackle, crackle, crackle. However, a moment later, where Jiangchen's feet touched the lake, wisps of green smoke rose from them. It was as if they were being melted away. The clumps of red hair on the soles of his feet burst into flames and turned to ash. It was obvious that there was a terrifying power in the lake that was attacking his body. However, because Jiangchen's body was isolated from the outside world, this mysterious, terrifying power couldn't cause him any real harm. Jiangchen's body gradually sank into the lake. However, the process was incomparably slow. It took several years for the water to reach his knees. During this time, Jiangchen's aura had weakened considerably. Obviously, while resisting the terrifying power, he'd consumed a frightening amount of energy. Time passed quickly. Jiangchen remained motionless, but as time passed, his body was gradually submerged by the lake. During this time, in the starry sky outside the 18 hells, Lu Xiaoyu had been continuously weaving mysterious star orbits for many years. He had not stopped for many years. Now, on his handsome and slightly dignified face, there were a few drops of sweat. However, what was shocking was that the entire starry sky had undergone tremendous changes. Brand new star fields were formed, and the stars were orbiting in completely different orbits. As all of this took shape, an even more terrifying and vast power surged forth. It vaguely formed a giant net that trapped the 18 hells within. Apart from this, the most obvious change was to Earth. This world will gradually usher in a great change. Xiaolong stood a distance away from Lu Xiaoyu, watching him do all this. He was powerless to help. All he could do was constantly observe the changes around him. His eyes flashed as he looked at Earth. Although there hadn't been any obvious changes yet, Xiaolong knew that as time passed, Earth would reveal unparalleled potential. At this moment, the spiritual energy that emerged was not boundless. However, it was like a fuse that ignited some kind of hidden opportunity. When the time came, Earth would erupt like a mountain torrent, unstoppable. All of the living beings in that world would benefit immensely. The new Great Formation has already taken shape. It's time for Boss to withdraw. If this continues, I'm afraid it'll affect his cultivation foundation. Xiaolong retracted his gaze and looked back at Lu Xiaoyu. His brows furrowed tightly as he muttered to himself. Right now, the entire universe revolved around Boss. He was the one who'd replaced Earth. Because of this, the power of the 18 Hells Great Formation had been transferred from Earth to Lu Xiaoyu. Every time the Great Formation took shape, more power was needed to maintain it. Even a Tao-carrying realm expert would find it difficult to endure such an enormous consumption for long periods of time. If Boss didn't withdraw in time, it would inevitably cause irreparable damage to his cultivation. Because of this, Xiaolong couldn't help but feel a little worried. However, just as he finished speaking, Lu Xiaoyu, who had been engraving invisible runes and laws, suddenly withdrew his hands. Boss. Xiaolong was overjoyed. Seeing this, he knew what Boss was going to do next and finally felt relieved. Under Xiaolong's gaze, invisible lines appeared all over Lu Xiaoyu's body, connecting with the surrounding starry sky. Vast and unparalleled energy was constantly drawn out from his body to maintain the operation of the Great Formation. Then, a bright light suddenly rose from Lu Xiaoyou's body, like 10 suns in the sky, scorching everyone's eyes. This light was incomparably fierce. Even a powerhouse like Dragon God felt a stinging pain in his eyes and could only turn his back. Lu Xiaoyou's figure was covered in boundless strong light, like a burning sun. His entire figure was difficult to see clearly. Imperceptibly, the surrounding star fields suddenly sped up a bit, as if they had been injected with a cardiac stimulant. The power was even more vast, gushing out from where Lu Xiaoyu was. Swoosh! Suddenly, a figure flashed out from the blazing light and immediately shot into the distance, retreating to the side. "Boss, how are you?" Xiaolong sensed this situation and quickly rushed to the side of the figure, asking nervously. Beside him, the figure was Lu Xiaoyu. At this time, he seemed to be exhausted, slightly bent at the waist, looking exhausted. "I'm fine, don't worry." Seeing Xiaolong's concerned eyes, Lu Xiaoyu gently waved his hand and said to him. He took a few deep breaths and then looked at the position of the ball of light again. Stealing the sky and changing the sun, grafting flowers on trees, success. The corners of Lu Xiaoyou's mouth couldn't help but curl up into a smile. Looking at the ball of light, he revealed a satisfied expression. After he left, the ball of light dimmed slightly, no longer as bright and dazzling as before, but the energy it released did not decrease in the slightest. This is the chaos origin that great god Pango had back then. It's a pity to use it here. Xiaolong also turned around and looked at the ball of light with a pained expression on his face. That's right, that ball of intense light was something left behind by the great god Pango in ancient times. It was the chaos origin that he had nurtured. Lu Xiaoyu used this object to use the stealing the sky and changing the sun method. First, he used his own body to replace the role of the Earth world. Then he left and used this ball of chaos origin to replace the power of the Great Array. Under the effect of this chaos origin, the entire starry sky Great Array operated without hindrance, and its power was even more vigorous and boundless. It was firmly sealed outside the 18 levels of hell, turning that place into a cage. It's a pity, but this thing belongs to someone else, and it's not something I cultivated myself. If I use it to improve myself, it's not a safe move. After a short rest, Lu Xiaoyou's complexion recovered a little. He spoke softly to Xiaolong beside him. You can't find a second treasure like this in the world. But it's a pity. Being able to use its power to deal with the devil race is worthy of great god Pango. Xiaolong nodded and said seriously, I just don't know how long this ball of chaos origin can last. I hope that before its power is exhausted, we can uproot the devil race. Chapter 29:10. Hearing Xiaolong's words, Lu Xiaoyu fell into a temporary silence and did not speak. After a long time, he slowly raised his head and said, Whether we can eliminate the demon race before the chaos source left by the great god Pangu is exhausted, that will depend on the will of the heavens. If the demon race breaks through the seal of the 18 levels of hell, it will be a terrible disaster for the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. There was a trace of worry between his brows. He was absolutely unwilling to see such a situation. After making such a huge sacrifice, the chaos source left behind by the enchanting realm powerhouse was a unique treasure in the world. Even if he did not use it, it could definitely bring unimaginable benefits to his family and friends. If he used it to deal with the demon race here and still could not trap them in the 18 levels of hell, it would definitely not be a good thing. But this was not impossible. The demon race was too strong, especially the demon ancestor. He was an existence that walked out of the chaos in ancient times. Even before his strength recovered, Lu Xiaoyu could not kill him. And in order to completely eliminate this huge disaster, Lu Xiaoyu was really gambling. The demon race. After all, that is a race that lives by killing. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds cannot have any morality to speak of with them. The meaning of their existence is to kill. They only want blood. Xiaolong sighed slightly and said, Everyone hated the demon race. Once they encountered them, they would not rest until they were dead. Either the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds perish together and become a demon domain, or the 18 levels of hell are raised by billions of creatures, killing the demon ancestor and clearing the universe. Besides these two, there was no other way. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the demon race of the 18 levels of hell absolutely could not coexist. Don't worry too much now. There are still some secrets in this world that we don't know. If we want to kill the demon ancestor and eliminate the demon race, perhaps there are other ways. There will be a way when the time comes. Everything will have a conclusion. Lu Xiaoyu suddenly smiled and said to his best brother beside him. At this time, his complexion was still not very good. Laying down this terrifying starry sky formation consumed too much of his strength. Lu Xiaoyu smiled slightly, and Xiaolong also listened calmly, not showing any abnormalities. However, if Lu Xiaoyu's words were heard by other beings, they would be shocked. There were still secrets in this world that Lu Xiaoyu didn't know about. It had to be known that in the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the 18 layers of hell, these three boundless great worlds, this was the strongest known powerhouse. He was in existence at the Tao vessel realm, and he'd walked his own path of the grand Tao and escaped the shackles and restraints of the heavens and the earth. He'd condensed his own quintessence energy of chaos step by step, and it was extremely terrifying. Before the ancestor devil and ancestor blood recovered, Hu Xiaoyu was definitely the strongest. It could be said that whether it was the 33 heavens, the 3,000 great worlds, or the 18 hells, as long as it was a place he wanted to go, there was absolutely no power that could stop him. No matter how big the secret in this world was in front of him, it was like there was only a thin veil between them. He only needed to casually wave his hand, and he could pry into it to his heart's content. However, from his mouth, he said that there were still secrets in the world that could not be known. If one really wanted to talk about it, it was likely that before the creation of the heavens and earth, before the primal chaos, or even before the primal chaos, Lu Xiaoyu could not explore. Indeed, the primal chaos had given birth to the 3,000 gods and demons. But where did the primal chaos come from? Boss is right. Let's take a step at a time. In any case, no matter what, we absolutely cannot allow the demon race to once again step into the 33 heavens and threaten the 3,000 great worlds. Xiaolong deeply nodded, a deep and resplendent light bursting out from his eyes as he spoke in a loud and clear voice. As one of the few powerhouses in this world, Xiaolong and Lu Xiaoyu were the same. Everything they did was to protect those they cared about and fulfill their responsibilities. They absolutely could not allow the demon race to harm their loved ones and loved ones. The 18 layers of hell are also very lively at this time. Lu Xiaoyu nodded, at the same time expressing his approval of Xiaolong's words. His eyes gazed into the void as if he could see through the boundless space and into the 11th level of the 18 levels of hell. He saw Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, Chu Daoju, and the other experts from the 3,000 greater worlds, the 33 heavens, and the Devil Clan. It was as if he knew everything there like the back of his hand. Boss, we should also quickly enter the 18 layers of hell. If we let that brat Du Xiaofu lead his people to cause trouble, I'm afraid it won't be long before we encounter even greater trouble. At that time, with the strength of those people, they really won't be able to deal with it. Xiaolong glanced at his boss and asked. He naturally knew how terrifying the demon race was. Although the powerhouses of the 33 heavens were also incomparably powerful, after all, they did not have a single Tao-bearing realm expert. If the blood ancestor, several demon generals, or even the demon ancestor personally appeared, they would bring an unimaginable threat to these people. And if more than one Tao-bearing realm expert appeared at the same time, then the millions of people would definitely not be able to escape. In addition, Boss had just laid down a great array to trap the 18 layers of hell, so they could only enter but not leave. As such, even if they wanted to escape, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens would have no way out. No need to worry, they can still barely cope for the time being. The people of the 3,000 great worlds have already arrived. I've already sent a message to them to directly enter the 18 layers of hell and help the people of the 33 heavens. Lu Xiaoyu waved his hand, indicating that Xiaolong did not need to worry. He had always been planning and had a card up his sleeve. As long as there were no major changes, there would not be any mistakes for the time being. We're not going in? Xiaolong raised an eyebrow at Lu Xiaoyu's words and asked in surprise. He had originally thought that boss would enter the 18 layers of hell after finishing the matter here and meet up with the millions of powerhouses, or observe in the dark, ready to take action at the critical moment. But who would have thought that boss did not seem to have any intention of entering the 18 layers of hell right away? This greatly surprised Xiaolong. We won't go in for the time being. That junior apprentice brother of mine still needs more intense tempering. If we interfere too much, then it won't be a good thing for his growth. After all, our plan is still counting on him. We can't let that boy live too comfortably. Lu Xiaoyu nodded and smiled. Then, he changed the topic and said, Senior has already entered that place for many years, but there hasn't been any news from him. I also want to go and investigate. Perhaps that place will allow us to obtain some shocking secrets. His eyes were deep and unhurried, as if he were immersed in some mysterious imagination. Xiaolong was startled. He naturally knew who the senior that boss spoke of was. It was a powerhouse that was far more terrifying than boss. In addition, that place was not some ordinary place. Although Xiaolong had never been there, he had heard boss mention it more than once. He had long wanted to go and investigate it, but he had been stopped every time. Hee, boss, you're finally willing to take me there? After being stunned for a moment, Xiaolong couldn't help but laugh mischievously, and he couldn't help but rub his hands together, seeming to be extremely excited. Lu Xiaoyu's brows raised abruptly as he looked at Xiaolong's appearance, and then he suddenly swung his palm out and slapped the back of Xiaolong's head. Boss, you hit me again. At any rate, I'm a half-step enlightened realm expert now. How can I hold my head high before all the living beings in the 3,000 worlds if you treat me like this? Xiaolong stared at Lu Xiaoyu with extreme dissatisfaction, and he held the back of his head with one hand, seeming to be extremely aggrieved. Hee, I'm sorry, I couldn't restrain myself. I'm afraid I can't change this habit of mine after so many years. Lu Xiaoyu smiled mischievously, and then he said, But I don't want to take you there when I saw your appearance just now. He smiled playfully and winked at Xiaolong a few times. Don't, boss. We agreed just now. You can't go back on your word. Xiaolong hurriedly moved closer to Lu Xiaoyu, and he instantly tossed what had happened to the back of his mind. He didn't care about it in the slightest. He blinked his eyes and looked at Lu Xiaoyu with a pleading look, like an angry child. If such a scene was seen by other living beings, their eyeballs would probably pop out of their sockets. As a rare existence in this world, the dragon god, whose cultivation was extremely profound, actually showed such an attitude. It was really unbelievable. Seeing such a situation, Lu Xiaoyu smiled with satisfaction and patted Xiaolong's shoulder, saying, I'm just teasing you. When has boss ever gone back on his word to you? Let's go. Xiaolong nodded excitedly, and then the two figures flickered and disappeared from where they were. Only the boundless star field was left in their surroundings, and the ball of primal chaos source was constantly emitting a terrifying light that was blinding to the eyes. The stars in the sky were also slowly rotating, and majestic star fields were circling around everywhere in the universe. Their shapes were magnificent, and they were engraved with strange trajectories, weaving a terrifying power, and all of them were sent to the 18 layers of hell. Extremely far away, the world of Earth was also changing slowly. Although it didn't seem obvious in a short period of time, as time passed, it was enough to cause the entire world to undergo a fundamental transformation. In the 11th layer of hell, the great battle was still raging. The living beings of the 33 heavens were all tense, and everyone was ready for battle. Everyone knew that millions of top experts had killed their way into the 18 layers of hell, wanting to cut off the majority of the devil race's combat strength. And in this process, they hoped to obtain unexpected benefits so as to reduce the devil race's slaughter of the 33 heavens in the future. But the living beings of the 33 heavens all knew that the path of those millions of experts would definitely not be smooth sailing. there would definitely be many people who would fall in the 18 layers of hell, never to walk out again. Billions of living beings all had their hearts in suspense, constantly paying attention to the situation in the Fiend God battlefield. They wanted to obtain the situation inside as soon as possible. Some of the weaker living beings felt hot blood boiling in their hearts, and they couldn't help but feel excited at the thought of killing their way into the 18 layers of hell. But at the same time, they couldn't help but blame themselves. They blamed themselves for not being able to reach the immortal realm and follow the experts to slay the gods and devils. In the past few years, the supreme Changrong heaven had become more and more crowded. Almost all the experts of the 33 heavens who could make it here had rushed over, causing this world to be filled with people. In comparison, the other worlds of the 33 heavens were showing signs of desolation, and there was a sense of emptiness. But all of this, to the distant Shenwu world, was not affected at all. When Du Xiaofu returned in the past, he had uncovered a huge secret of this world, and at the same time obtained great benefits. Then, he left again. But ever since that time, he had killed the 3 meditated experts of the beast race, and the experts of the outside world were shocked, and no more experts from the 33 heavens came in large numbers. Occasionally, some people would come to Shenwu world out of curiosity, but they didn't dare to do anything rash. What a joke. This world had a meditated expert guarding it, so who would dare to cause trouble here? The meditated old ancestors of the 33 heavens had all entered the Fiend God battlefield and the 18 layers of hell. The few that stayed behind to guard it didn't have the heart to search for treasures at this critical juncture. Moreover, there were very few things in this world that could be useful to a meditated expert. Why would they waste time and effort to search for them? I wonder how Xiaofu and the others are doing now. In the desolate country, Du Tingxian came out of seclusion and gathered with Yi Wuming, Murong Yuruo, and the others. Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Jueyu, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaojing, Yi Piaoling, Chang Guyu, and the others were still in seclusion and hadn't come out for a long time. In the past few years, Shenwu world had become more and more powerful. Although in terms of scale, it didn't explosively expand like before, this kind of progress was still continuing. At the same time, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, as well as the treasures and elixirs, all rushed out, causing countless creatures to go crazy. As a result, the strength of everyone in this world was increasing by leaps and bounds. Compared to a few years ago, it was as if they were flying. Now, in Shenwu world, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, Du Xiaojing, Chang Guyu, and the others were close to the immortal realm. This time, Du Tingxian had encountered the final bottleneck and had just come out of seclusion. He wanted to change his state and concentrate on breaking through again. Such a terrifying speed of advancement made one's scalp tingle. Even in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, such a terrifying increase was absolutely unimaginable. But Du Tingxian and the others knew that this wasn't unimaginable. Before Du Xiaofu left, he had briefly told him that this world was constantly growing. In this process, the creatures and the world grew together, and the benefits obtained were immeasurable. It wasn't like the experts of the ancient 33 heavens, who seized the traces of the evolution of the great Tao and grasped all the 4 great primordial laws, but at the very least, they could pry into the laws of heaven and earth and the true meaning of the great Tao on a deeper level. This kind of opportunity wasn't something that could be found in any era. In the years when everyone was in seclusion, news came from the outside world. Xiaofu led millions of people from the 33 heavens and killed their way into the 18 levels of hell. Now, it's been about 300 years. Yi Wuming looked at Du Tingxian, thought for a moment, and said this. The affairs of the desolate country had always been managed by him. To Yi Lao, cultivation wasn't that important. His true goal was to give Du Xiaofu and the others a stable rear. Although after the devil god was killed and the great calamity of the devil cult was over, this world did not have any major changes. But if Yi Lao were to hand this matter over to the younger generation, he would not feel at ease no matter what. Therefore, Yi Lao was very familiar with the news from the outside world, and he remembered it all in his heart. It's been 300 years. Du Tingxian raised his head slightly and sighed. The starting point of our world's creatures is too low. If we want to help Xiaofu, we are completely powerless. If we force our way into the 33 heavens, we will only become a burden. His expression contained an uncontrollable sense of desolation and helplessness. As Du Xiaofu's father, what he wanted most was to stand by his son's side at this time and fight side by side with him against the devil race. However, including himself, all the creatures of Shenwu world were far from strong enough. Perhaps they could enter the 33 heavens to gain experience during peaceful times, but if they wanted to participate in the war against the devil race, they were too weak. Therefore, many people were doing their best to increase their cultivation, striving to break through to a higher level as soon as possible and enter the 33 heavens, or even the 18 layers of hell to resist the devil race. Apart from the desolate country, the creatures of the other forces also had similar thoughts. However, they didn't want to become the right hand of the Rock Emperor, but at the very least, they wanted to be qualified to fight against the devil race. The 33 heavens are now preparing for war, but the real war hasn't broken out yet. Only the millions of immortal and seated forgetful have entered the 18 layers of hell. I hope nothing happens to Xiaofu, little Xingxing, and little Yao. We don't need to think too much about it now, just cultivate hard. Murong Yurua's red lips parted as she paced around the hall. Du Tingxian, Yi Wuming, and the others nodded in agreement. They really didn't have the energy to worry about anything. Instead of wasting their energy on such useless things, they might as well study more about cultivation. Just as everyone fell into a momentary silence, the entire desolate nation's main hall suddenly trembled violently. It was as if an invisible hand was tightly grasping and shaking it. Rumble. A terrifying tremor was produced, and in a flash, it spread rapidly from the desolate country's imperial palace to other places in this world. Along with this tremor, an incomparably terrifying power of law intertwined wildly, causing the world to lose its color and the mountains and rivers to tremble. A complete primordial law. Someone is breaking through to the immortal realm. Du Tingxuan's eyes suddenly focused, and he rushed out of the main hall and into the sky. He lowered his head and looked around. In an instant, he found the source of all this. It's Xiaojing. She's breaking through to the immortal realm. Chapter 29:11. It's Xiaojing. She's breaking through to the immortal realm. Yi Wuming couldn't help but shout, his eyes filled with shock. To Shenwu world, to the desolate country, apart from Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing, there were no other immortal realm powerhouses. But those three people had all gone to the 33 heavens in their early years and obtained incomparably great lucky chances, allowing them to make breakthroughs at such a young age. Moreover, Du Xiaofu and the other two had outstanding talent, far surpassing the average person. They couldn't be lumped together. Therefore, to Shenwu world, Du Xiaojing's breakthrough was unprecedented and had great significance. Finally, someone from our Shenwu world can break through to the immortal realm. Not long after, Jin Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Chang Guyu, Jialo Jueyu, Du Yunlong, and the other desolate country powerhouses were all alarmed. They all came out of seclusion and came to the sky above the palace. Under everyone's gaze, in a certain area of the stone city, a bright light shot up into the sky and into the heavens. Amidst the raging aura, endless power of laws surged, like a tidal wave, shaking the 9 heavens. It's the matter law breaking through. Du Yunlong's eyes flashed as he looked at all this and muttered. He could clearly feel that within the energy waves, there was the power of the matter law. With Xiaojing's talent, it's a pity that she only broke through in the matter law. Jin Qingchun smacked his lips. While he was excited, he also felt a bit of regret. Du Xiaojing's talent alone wasn't much lower than her brother Du Xiaofu's. It was just that the various opportunities and hardships she had encountered limited her growth. But everyone in this world thought that it was a pity for Du Xiaojing to break through to the immortal realm using only the matter law. Now, everyone in Shenwu world knew that after reaching the immortal realm, the power of laws would be fixed. It was almost impossible to break through in the other 3 primal laws. Because of this, Du Xiaofu suppressed his cultivation when he was in the truth-severing realm until he grasped all four primal laws. Only then did he break through to the immortal realm. Only then did he reach the immortal realm, the one and only void path. It's already not bad to break through to the immortal realm. There are countless powerhouses in the 33 heavens, but comparatively speaking, the immortal realm is the strongest. Who knows how many geniuses and geniuses? Not only the immortal realm, there are others, ants the void path. Du Tingxian was quite open-minded and said with a faint smile. His daughter being the first to the immortal realm too was the immortal realm. Although, it's the immortal realm and the immortal realm, immortal realm, and the immortal realms, with the first, there will be more and more immortal realm immortals in the Shenwu world. When our world's strength increases, we'll fight our way to the 33 heavens, enter the 18 levels of hell, and fight against the demons. Du Yunlong's cloud robe fluttered, and his body was filled with a strong desire to fight. Right now, he had reached the peak of the truth-severing late stage, and was not far from the immortal realm. As long as the right opportunity comes, he'll be able to break through. Just watch. The Shenwu world will not be a coward in the war against the demons. Jialo Jueyu's eyes also emitted a blazing aura, showing his dominance. This was the biggest wish of all living beings in the Shenwu world. Everyone wanted to fight side by side with Du Xiaofu, but the precondition was that they had enough strength. Everyone listened to Du Yunlong and Jialo Jueyu's words and fell silent, focusing their attention on the commotion caused by Du Xiaojing. As for what happened in the desolate country's imperial palace, it only took a short period of time for the experts in other places to sense it. This commotion, could it be an expert breaking through to the immortal realm? What powerful energy waves! He's definitely breaking through to the immortal realm. Sure, Shenwu world is finally going to have an immortal rank warrior. This fluctuation comes from the desolate nation. Let's go and take a look. We can't miss such a grand occasion. Very quickly, living beings from all over the Shenwu world rushed towards the desolate country, towards the direction of the terrifying ripples, towards the stone city. Many people were extremely excited. Being able to see the appearance of an immortal realm warrior made the entire divine martial world boil. With the arrival of countless experts, the desolate country became increasingly lively. Originally, the living beings of the three continents, Kyushu, and the other regions were all extremely excited. The experts of the various large factions had all rushed over to the desolate country. This is a good start. The first immortal rank warrior has appeared. Not long from now, the entire Shenwu world will explode. When the time comes, the number of immortal rank warriors in this world will be like the soul-seizing and truth-severing realms in the past. They will grow like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. A powerful cultivator from the Xian Fu sect spoke, full of joy. Ever since the great calamity of the devil religion ended and Du Xiaofu and the others left the Shenwu world, this world had undergone tremendous changes. This was always the case. Every time the first elite cultivator of the desolate country made a breakthrough, the living beings of this realm would experience an explosive increase in strength. By now, the true severing realm was not a rare occurrence in this realm, and the ones walking at the front of all the living beings were still the people of the desolate country. One could imagine that once Du Xiaojing, as the first person, took this step, more and more people would take that step. Huff, huff, huff. Under everyone's gaze, the large expanse of light continued to emit. The power of laws was vast and mighty, shaking the void. The entire desolate country was enveloped in a terrifying wave of energy. It was terrifying. This scene was something that the living beings of this world had never seen before. They had only heard about it from Du Xiaofu and the others, and as time went on, the terrifying power of laws became more and more profound, rolling and surging. All the powerful cultivators quickly retreated into the distance, not daring to stay near the palace. This power of laws could affect the energy in their bodies. Everyone felt like their energy was being pulled, as if it was going to rush out uncontrollably. The power of laws that Du Xiaojing was emitting quickly reached a peak and did not continue to rise. However, Just as everyone was thinking that all of this would continue until she truly made a breakthrough, the energy of the law of matter that filled the sky suddenly converged like flowing water and rapidly disappeared. What's going on? Why did everything suddenly stop? Xiaojing stopped breaking through. Did something strange happen? Oh no, could there be a problem with the breakthrough? Let's go take a look. Everyone was startled at first, then they all made such guesses. They were extremely shocked. If their guesses were correct, it was definitely not a good thing. Every time a cultivator broke through, it was accompanied by a huge risk. If it was light, the person would be injured, and if it was heavy, the person would die. Therefore, in an instant, everyone's hearts were in their mouths as they quickly rushed towards the palace. Please don't let anything happen to her. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Xingchun, Jialo Jueyu, and the other powerful cultivators were extremely nervous. Du Xiaojing was their family. If anything happened to her, it would be unacceptable. Furthermore, as the first cultivator to break through to the immortal realm in Shenwu world, if she failed this time, it would be a huge blow to this world. No one wanted to see such a thing happen. Please don't let anything happen to her. Please don't let anything happen to her. Everyone kept repeating in their hearts. Their hearts were hanging in mid-air. They moved very quickly and soon returned to the sky above Stone City. But suddenly, just as they were about to rush into the place where Du Xiaojing was in seclusion, a figure suddenly appeared and blocked them all. Don't worry, Xiaojing is fine. The person who came was an old man who exuded a boundless, domineering aura. His body was tall and straight, and the old hair on his head made people feel an uncontrollable sense of reverence. Senior Holy Sage. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Qing Guyu, and the others were stunned for a moment before bowing respectfully. Just by standing in front of this old man, they felt like they were looking up at a tall mountain. Everyone knew him very well and knew how terrifying he was. And who else could he be other than the strongest cultivator left in Shenwu world? The Dean of Tianwu Academy, the Holy Emperor. Senior, what do you mean? Didn't something happen to Xiaojing when she broke through? Du Tingxian hurried forward and asked anxiously. He was the most worried about Du Xiaojing's situation and did not want anything to happen to her. While Du Tingxian was speaking, the other experts also came forward and looked nervously at the old man in front of them. They wanted to hear his answer. Don't worry, nothing happened to her. As for what happened, you will find out soon. The Holy Emperor looked at everyone's expressions and suddenly revealed a mysterious smile. At the same time, he kept them in suspense. However, although the Holy Great Emperor did not say it clearly, just looking at the smile on his face, Du Tingxian and the others inexplicably felt a lot more at ease and relaxed. Senior, what is going on? Xiaojing was clearly breaking through to the immortal realm. Why did she suddenly stop? Meanwhile, Du Xiaoman walked over and couldn't help but ask. Just wait and see. You will find out soon. The Holy Emperor remained mysterious and only indicated for everyone to see for themselves. Hearing this, the others did not ask any more questions. They all released the power of their primordial spirits to spy on Du Xiaojing's situation. Not long after, a strange ripple suddenly appeared again. It spread out from Du Xiaojing's place of seclusion and was sensed by everyone. Zhenxing Chun suddenly let out a cry of surprise. His entire person was astonished. Du Tingxian was also stunned and was very surprised by the situation he sensed. The power of the law of space. This is the power of the law of space. She is accumulating the power of a second primitive law. I'm afraid she wants to break through to the immortal realm with multiple primitive laws. That's great. If she succeeds, her strength after breaking through will increase exponentially compared to breaking through with only one primitive law. After perceiving Du Xiaojing's condition, the experts present were in an uproar again. Everyone sighed in shock. Only now did they know that Du Xiaojing did not have an accident during her breakthrough. The power of the law of matter had been suppressed by her. At this time, the second primitive law was surging wildly. It was obvious that she was not willing to break through to the immortal realm with just the law of matter. The result of this would make the breakthrough more difficult. However, if she succeeded, the benefits would be unimaginable. Xiaofu broke through with 4 primitive laws at the same time. Little Xingxing mastered 3 primitive laws. Du Xiaoyao also broke through with the law of space and the law of soul at the same time. If Xiaojing can master at least 2 primitive laws, then our family will be envied by the whole 33 heavens. Du Tingxian became excited and couldn't help but murmur. Everyone knew how difficult it was to master multiple primitive laws and break through to the immortal realm. But now, the desolate country had already had Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Little Xingxing. If Xiaojing could do it as well, it would definitely be something worth celebrating. Whether it was the Du family, the desolate country, or the entire divine martial world, they were all happy to see this happen. The law of space. How terrifying. An expert from the Saman sword sect stood in the void in a daze. He felt the power of the law of space coming from the void, and his entire body seemed to be frozen. Around him, there was a formless power surging and firmly locking the space here, forming a unique domain. Du Xiaojing's power affected everyone. Of course, the Holy Great Emperor was not included. As time passed, the power of the law once again climbed to the peak and was extremely vigorous. Everyone had already retreated far away under the Holy Great Emperor's guidance, avoiding all of this. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, nearly a month had passed, and at this time, the law of space that Du Xiaojing was emitting became more and more profound, maintaining that state. But to everyone's surprise, just when everyone thought that Du Xiaojing's comprehension of the laws of space had reached the peak and would definitely draw upon the energy of the laws of matter to carry out the final breakthrough, the terrifying energy of the laws of space retreated like the tide once more. This scene was exactly the same as what had happened before. It was obvious that Du Xiaojing had retracted the power of the law of space again. Everyone looked at each other, speechless. Could it be that Xiaojing wants to try a third primitive law? Du Tingxian frowned slightly. There was shock in his eyes, but at the same time, there was some confusion. He understood Du Xiaojing's situation very well. He knew that his daughter had great attainments in the law of matter and the law of space, but not in the law of time and the law of soul. She had only dabbled in them slightly. At this juncture, it would not be easy for her to try a third primitive law. Don't worry, just watch. On the side, the Holy Great Emperor stroked his beard and said with a mysterious smile. Hearing this, everyone stopped talking and turned their attention to where Du Xiaojing was cultivating in seclusion again. Sure enough, not long after the power of the law of space disappeared, another mysterious force spread out. The law of time. Everyone was stunned again. They looked at each other in disbelief. When did Xiaojing cultivate the law of time to such a level? Du Yunlong stood in the same place. His whole body was in a daze. He was extremely surprised. Not only him, but Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Qin Guyu, and the others also had the same feeling. Du Xiaojing had a close relationship with everyone. Everyone knew that her attainments in the law of space and the law of matter were extraordinary, but what was going on with the law of time? This little girl's talent is really good. In just a few hundred years, she has completely comprehended all the laws that this old man taught her. Now, even the law of time has reached such a level. If she can break through to the immortal realm with 3 primitive laws at the same time, she will definitely surpass me in the future. The Holy Great Emperor showed a gratified smile, and his old eyes narrowed into slits. He was very happy. He kept stroking his beard with one hand, looking very pleased. So it was Senior who taught her. Everyone finally understood that Du Xiaojing's mastery of the law of time was taught by the Holy Great Emperor. Who was the Holy Great Emperor? He was in existence at the 3rd stage of meditative forgetfulness, and he relied on the law of time and the law of space to become famous. If they were taught by him on these 2 paths, they would definitely benefit a lot. The ancient desolate space that Du Xiaofu carried with him had the power of both space and time. It was a perfect combination from the Holy Great Emperor. After sleeping for so many years, it's really good to have such a disciple. The Holy Great Emperor squinted his old eyes and nodded repeatedly. He looked at where Du Xiaojing was, and his eyes shone brightly. Senior, you took Xiaojing as your disciple? When did this happen? Zheng Qingchun and the others were stunned and looked at the holy great emperor in confusion. They had not heard anything about this at all. Ha 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 ha. The holy great emperor laughed and said, "Of course you don't know. When I took her in as my disciple, all of you were in seclusion. At that time, this little girl was at the critical moment of her breakthrough. I saw that her talent was extraordinary, so I helped her a little. However, her current achievements are the result of her hard work. I only gave her a little guidance. The main point is still her own comprehension." So that's how it is. Du Tingxian and the others understood and nodded. After that, they stopped talking and looked at Du Xiaojing again. They wanted to see her breakthrough.